chapstick if you want, chapstick if you're not. Just a quick couple of questions I wanted to post. This may not be long. I'm not sure. The dog did look up and then he put his head back down and then he sat back up. Sometimes he gets excitable when I'm doing a video, and can you blame him, really? I mean, they're pretty exciting. That's the way to put it. Kind of want to wait till we get viewers to ask this. And I would like to put on the radio lightly because it's just too quiet in here when I'm quiet. And me and the dog don't like it. The dog and I, whichever you prefer. We don't like it. It's too dark in here for morning. If it's not super loud, I mean, the dog's got good hearing. I've got pretty good hearing. If it's not super loud, YouTube might not mind. So sorry for the slow start. I really would rather just wait till there's people here watching. I mean, I could answer the first question myself. I could answer all of these myself as well as asking viewers, but I'd rather create some dialogue and then kind of think on the dialogue, if that makes sense. So it's got to be people here chatting for that to happen. I don't think the radio is that loud. It certainly isn't loud when I'm talking. And it really isn't loud anyway, and the AC is, so. And now the dog is licking my foot. You say, go lay down, son, okay? But I'd rather you lick my foot than make a bunch of noise and expect a treat. Although I have, really only worked because I'm not otherwise on the phone that much. But Sonny, I just fucking sat down. Like, seriously. Why? I tell you why you do this, because every time, although I don't know why you're running over there, every time you do it, you get a chew stick or whatever. And, but nothing's perfect, and that's the last one, so don't do it again. You know. Oh. Wait till after this. Well, I don't know. Part of me thinks I kind of feel slightly like I'm wasting energy. I mean, sometimes kind of anyway, but sometimes not when the right people are seeing it and they're engaging. I sort of feel like, and I don't know what those forward notifications are from because it doesn't seem to be on this post because it went back to the top and there was nothing applied to anything I said. It hasn't been that much yet. But I'm tempted to read the post, but that's not showing on the feed behind this now that I've kind of came back to it a couple times, but the post is. Anyway, I just kind of feel like even if there's somebody here not saying anything, although, like I say, always nice when they do, then I don't feel like I'm just talking to the screen. Nobody here. However, I know that people can see this afterwards. But this is a very interesting question, and I think it'd be a good kind of get to know each other kind of question. So you can always skip ahead to see where the content lies. What I'm actually, I'll be nice and say this. I'll be nice and say this because I don't want to just be sitting here waiting either, to be quite honest. And I could be doing other stuff, but I kind of keeping this up on here. So, and I don't want to get too distracted from this and forget I'm doing it. So what I'll do is I'll wait a couple more minutes, aka the 7-minute mark, and hopefully you can wait a couple minutes with me. This will either start before then because someone tunes in, or it will start by then. Either way, how's that? Not usually quite that organized. And it's going to start now. So I have a question. The first question is kind of a two-part question. Feel free to weigh in. Um, how would you feel that your good friends would describe you? The second part of that is what else? Okay. I don't know. That may have been an awkward first question, but it's. I should say where this came from, by the way, but I'll ask it again. Well, I don't know, really, because like I say, it's awkward. Maybe if I say that didn't come from me, although it's kind of ironic. The name of the commenter, formerly ironic. I'm going to wait till that 7 minute mark because the person left. I know I started, but they're like, well, I come right into this thing and he's asking me a personal question. I understand. I understand. But I did. So I'm just putting a little note here, but I'll at with the chat, but I'll say it as well. And I haven't been rolling that long, so I welcome you to answer any of these questions that you wish to, and the person left. Okay, I'm gonna just get again, you know, it also speaks to the struggle of feeling like I'm in limbo and waiting a lot to just sit and wait. But somebody just tuned in, so again, you can answer any of these questions that you wish, and let's have some dialogue. So, and the person left. So whatever. But like I say, I've been in such waiting mode, limbo mode in a lot of areas, for things to progress, this and that, and that's not entirely without effort. So I like to try and avoid having to do that if I can. Perhaps you understand that. Anywho, so like I say, answer any of these that you so desire to. First question, and by the way, I should state that these questions came from an interesting comment. I'm in a group online, and there was somebody that posted something I somewhat related to, and the person left, but whatever. And one of the comments, which is why I was curious to browse it a bit, one of the comments kind of, well, he started off with some other stuff he said. Uh, no one is passionate straight off the bat. Passion comes from okay. Um, let's see here. He gets a little bit religious there, but yeah, let's just jump right into the questions. And again, answer any that you okay. I said the 7 minute mark. I'm already a minute past that, but I did try, and I'm only a minute past that. So yeah, this would have been a great question to have had somebody here during to answer. I've got to be honest. For whatever reason, a lot of the videos lately seem to be more chatty in the chat than they are after it's posted. But it does vary some. But so yes, let's have a conversation. Any of these that you're comfortable with, um, and the person. If you're, yeah. So I kind of already asked this one, but I don't know if it's a great first question, but it's the first one that he puts here that jumped out, and it's only kind of like the third down. He also did them in categories, which is kind of cool. I don't know if I really need to say the category. I might categorize it something different. I don't know, but how would your um, good friends or family, currently or ones you've known in your life, describe you? Second part of that is, I almost want to say, do you agree with them? But then the other part of me wants to say, what would you add to that? Um, and then, and any of these that you missed the first time, if I'm going too fast, which it's morning and I'm processing what's written here. Like I say, I didn't write them. Um, But if I'm going too fast, then you can always catch ones that you want to catch on the playback. Um, what stories are you telling? I don't know if I like that question. Um, we did have two people here, and very impatiently, after like a couple minutes, they left. Not 2 or 3 minutes. I mean, it's the longest with this video. I mean, not that it's been a long video, out of all the other ones that have flashed along the top. So let me get the next question prepared. This is kind of an interesting one, and I'm just kind of curious what kind of responses it might get. If your body could speak right now, what would it say? I kind of like the question that comes after that, but I don't know. I don't know if I want to ask it. I don't know if I like it that much. This one's kind of cool, though. This one, oh, I need somebody here right now for this one. Not for the other ones, but especially for this one. Angels, please send them. Heck, last time I kind of did that or had that theme in the most interesting and strong way, the numbers were really quite big at the top. I mean, it is YouTube, but there's a lot on YouTube, right? But like there was like, yeah. So I'm just gonna plug this in. Doesn't hugely need it yet, but it will. Ooh. Try not to break anything in the process of my body or the device. Oh, what's this? Okay, it looks like I typed a big empty comment. Okay. Yeah, that radio is a bit louder than I thought it would be, but whatever. I don't. Okay. So next question is, when was the last time that you felt? It says truly alive. I might word it as more alive. Or yeah. And what was different for you then in your life? Worst thing that will happen if it hears the radios, it'll just mute it. But hopefully, yeah. I'm just looking through these questions, so I'll give you an opportunity to answer that one. Okay, you left. You kind of seemed intrigued, but you left. Um, Now I've heard this kind of question before. The year increments vary when I hear it, and I would say though that I've not heard it ever asked this way. I've kind of heard it asked the opposite of this way. And I would also maybe state that you can use whatever increment you like. If 5 years seems too far away, some people it'll seem not. Some people it will. Some people next week seems far away. I mean, I'm not judging. I understand. So, whichever duration you wish to ask yourself, what would you. Actually, after all that, although somebody tuned in just at the tail end of that, and you're the only one here at this point in time, I've been rolling super long. After all that, I'm not sure if I actually like that question. I could go back. I really like the one I asked previously, though. What would. And you left, so I won't do it again. This one's kind of a curious. Well, they all are, but what is a small step that you could take today towards a goal that you have? I'm just reading the person that posted this. I mean, his exact wording was the key with these questions is not to rapid fire them, although maybe, but to pause after asking. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Then he gets religious and said, God is with you. That's when the truths tend to emerge. I love this phrase. Not the part about hard to type out on mobile, but the part that says, chin up, stop looking at the ground, look for towards the sky with the chest full of breath the breath of pride. All sounds a bit honky and get Ghey. You know, we got to be very careful when we're talking about religion. It's interesting to hear people's different opinions and beliefs, but we have to. I feel that we should be very careful about coming across preachy, because nobody likes that. There are various reasons, some of them very legit, why religion might not work for somebody. I think on a human level, we should understand and respect that. Um, it's more that part right near the bottom of that comment that really, especially the latter part of it, I really think didn't this guy didn't need to put it there on this post, because I didn't mind the rest of his comment, even though there was some elements of mention of God. I mean, it wasn't overly. Um, okay, well, this was 60 minutes worth of content. It would have been longer if people had been here and stayed here. Unfortunately, I don't have any songs planned. I am curious to look into one. I don't know it's got a certain title, but it is by I think Melanie Martinez. If you've ever heard of her, and that's all I'll say. I'll keep you guessing. But if you have a song request, feel free to put it below. It's still fairly early here. I'm not super awake, but I'm awake enough that I could do a song or two. If you're left, you're like you're not awake. You look awake. I mean, I'm up and at 'em, but that's about all. I mean, I like that guy's comment to this guy's post because it was very in depth. It sounds like he helps. Um, what was his wording? Whereas this guy, he just says, "Just find Jesus." Um, doesn't look the rest too. He will set you free. Ask him. Oh, he works with lost men on the daily. That's a very interesting name. Maybe you checked your cable bill. Sorry. I'm going to read this comment because it would be another interesting one to talk about. And the person left, but they're like, "What comment?" I don't see any except for yours, skin. Um, it's these kind of comments that I kind of like to kind of contradict sometimes. By the magic you're looking for from the work you are avoiding. Basically, this guy just says, in specifically 100 years' time, everyone we know and love won't be alive, and anything we are worrying about is no longer relevant. This I disagree with. I'll just say that they aren't alive on this plane, which we can most easily see. But I do believe in heaven. Um, can you hear the radio in the background? I mean, YouTube's ears might be better than yours, but I'm just curious. And you left. You're like, yes, and I don't like songs about drinking. I I don't want it off. And any channel I put it on, even AM, it seems like these days, will play some music. And if not, it might be annoying advertising. So, um, I do have the ads turned off of this one. I was a bit more selective with that. I just didn't want the interruptions. So you're welcome. Um, Maybe you're left like, oh, but I'm here for the advertisements. Just kidding. But either came back, somebody else is here. I'm just looking through a post. I there was one comment on this post that asked a few questions that I incorporated in this video. However, I've already said them. The one that kind of stood out the most to me is, when did you feel the most alive in your life? Like you were enjoying your life the most. If it's now, I guess that could be a hard question to answer. Maybe answer it in the opposite way. I don't know. Either way, what is different between now and then? And the person left. But I was going to add to that, it might be easier to help you if you know, if you say, if you're not feeling that in life right now, but you have, I'm sure we all have, seriously, even if we've been struggling for a long while, we've all had good times. um, Sometimes it's hard to see how to get back there to them. And sometimes it seriously is hard to get back there to them. But if you say in the comments what comes to mind, thanks for the like, then I could maybe try and suggest ways that may or may not work, that you may or may not have thought of. So yeah, thanks for the like. We've got two of you here, and I'll stop talking and allow you to comment while I process, because this post that I'm reading comments on, I'm not saying anybody's names. I really related to it. So, uh, and one of the aspects of the original post was about getting older, specifically turning 40, which I'm almost at, and that's been following me the past few days in my mind for some reason. I mean, I'm 2 months away, um, 2 months and a bit, and I think it's following me because, one, I'm hoping it's better than a lot of the latter part of my 30s. Two, I'm curious about it. Three, my dad passed away just before 50. Um, I don't know, just simply getting older, you know? It's happening all the time, folks, to every one of us. um, I don't mean to, because it seems like a couple of you are curious and perhaps working on answering things I've already said, and contributing to the chat. Let me just finish reading this paragraph because it starts off kind of interestingly. This is kind of sad, what he says. Do you remember or care about your great grandpa? Well, I mean, I'm almost tempted to say anybody that's done genealogy, they certainly will have never met them, and probably not. Um, but then this part where he says, if you had your grandchildren, they couldn't care less about Gramps. I saw my uncle and aunts at occasional birthdays and holidays, but I don't care about them. I have my own life to worry about. That's the kind of family you don't want, eh? I mean, you want family that's there for you and cares about you, don't we all? By the way, I'm curious if people can hear the radio in the background. We have a third viewer tuned in a couple minutes ago. Welcome. Just kind of processing some things on a social media post and bringing it into conversation here. I'm noticing the radio louder than it was, but I haven't touched it. So we got five here now. And I'm curious also, how did you come across the video or the channel? Just simply curious. What somebody say you told me about it. No. Glad to have you here. Sorry that I'm going a bit slow, but you know, with things I've said, it gives you the opportunity to say something to them. I'm just trying to process this post here. I mean, I don't like this guy's comment. I'll say why as soon as I turn down that radio because it is loud. Well, it's not loud, but YouTube won't like it. Um, this guy, what I don't like about what this guy says is, and then we get three, but um, I don't believe that the original poster ever said anything about being a drinker. Yes, he did sound like he's struggling a lot and not very happy in his life. I don't know if this guy's saying cut down on alcohol because that's what he had to do or that's what he would do. But to me, it comes more across as you're drinking too much, cut down on alcohol. um, and then he lists a few things and says none of these will fix it, but it'll make you feel a little better, which helps in fixing, the struggle, I suppose. Um, I may have known one of his relatives too. I'm not sure that passed away. Where's he from? Doesn't say. Sounds like England, just by something at the top of his page about sports. Wow, we're down to one. Is it? Yeah, is it the one that liked? I'm curious. People, things come up in their life or their devices die, or they're like, well, now that I can't hear the music I was here for in the background, just kidding. Again, just slowly processing this because I'd really only I looked at some of the other comments, but it was that one comment that sparked me doing this, and it kind of went past that. So, but I'm curious about some of the other ones. What's with when somebody puts a comment and there's a little squares that say OBJ, which I know means object? Is it like my device can read emojis? So I don't think it's referring to emojis, but I don't know. We got three of you here now, and only one of you kind of knows what I'm doing. So not to sound like a broken record, but to those that just tuned in, I'm looking at a post that I saw on social media from somebody, and I'm contributing where I have contributed a bit to it. I'm curious because those four notifications are not from the post because I noticed that. Now there's only one of you here though, and again, is it the one that liked and the one that's been here since the beginning? Because I'll save my breath. Otherwise, if not, just say no. I just got here. What is this about? Or something like that, and I'll be happy to tell you. I will say that this guy thinks that most of us live a very average life. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I'm not out to I mean, I know this isn't the first time I've said about what somebody said. I mean, the first comment that I addressed, I I did say I liked most of it, and I liked his approach. And sure, maybe it came from kind of his career experience, but anybody could have said it. I do feel. However, and two went to one. But no, I don't believe that. Well, he does say most of us, but that implies most, and that's what I wouldn't agree with. And that's okay. I feel that most people actually live quite great lives, and possibly sometimes take them for granted. But maybe this is just kind of like I say, my latter part of my 30s, being often slow, stagnant, and boring. That it looks like a lot of the world around me, a lot of other people are doing. I mean, and I know people say, "Oh, don't look at social media," and don't compare. It's good to have goals. It's of course even better when you can reach them. But it's just so hard to do, and especially when you are in those kind of spots in life. Thanks for the like. That meant hard not to do. I think I said it's hard to do. I mean, and we got three of you here now. Welcome. Don't be shy. Um, when you're in certain spots in life, you're going to notice these things more. You just are. And then what do you do about that? That's, I guess, the thing. So I'm sure out of the three of you, some of you have not previously been here. And what I'm doing is looking at a post that I saw someone make on social media that I related to in some ways. And now we're down to one. Is it one of the likers? Well, one of the likers just came in and liked. So Anyway, the point of the matter is, I'm looking at some of the comments and bringing it here for conversation in an anonymous fashion. And y'all, that reminds me, I have to check my socials, and some people use a lot more than I do. You know what I mean? But the title of the concept seems to intrigue, and suddenly three are here all at once. Possibly the three that were here a moment ago. Maybe there's connectivity issues in some places due to weather or something. But I'm glad you're here. Don't be shy. Um, as much as I'm looking at this, I'm also watching for your comments here. Don't worry. I can multitask. I have ADHD. um, One thing I will say, chapstick, whether you if you're curious, and chapstick if you're not. Um, One thing I will say is that this guy had mentioned that he's not married and doesn't have any kids, so he didn't really feel like he had a legacy. Another thing that he said was that it sounded like he was also struggling to find purpose in life. Um, he even said, "Oh, dare I say it? Maybe not." Um, and I'm curious the age groups that we have watching right now out of the three of you. It'd be interesting to kind of see how the different. And again, I don't like to place age on things. I said something the other day that I sometimes think, which I think is very true. There are a lot of very smart young people who have been through a lot, and sometimes that's where they get their wisdom. And there are a lot of, no offense to anybody, not so smart older people, whether they've been through a lot or not. And some of them never learn. Just kidding. Well, that was one of them. Maybe I offended one of them. But we kept two of them, so that's good retention. um, okay, I'll stop talking to allow you to comment if you wish, and to figure out what I'm going to bring up next. This is a comment from somebody who um, says he loves writing and music. I don't know if that means writing music or just writing and music. Either way, I'm musical, so if you have a song request, feel free to suggest it. I also don't mind creative writing, so if you would like to collaborate on a creative idea, feel free to let me know about that too. One thing I will say is that some people, even well meaning, will give advice, and sometimes fairly specific, but then even if the person is willing to put in the effort and really want something, I hate to say it, but sometimes I don't know why I hate to say it, but sometimes you just literally need somebody, for lack of a different way of putting it, holding your hand. Holding your hand. I mean, maybe you're most used to that in life. I know some people were saying hello, Qwerty. Interesting, Qwerty. Early 20s here. Okay, late 30s here. My 20s were my good years. Why? To answer that question that I asked at the beginning, when did I feel most alive? I mean, we're always alive. I mean, and if you haven't liked or subscribed, feel free to. Curious if you've ever seen the content here before. Um, it's interesting. I would say that I felt most alive in my 20s because I was living a more active life in a lot of ways. And as much as I want that again in some ways, I worry that if I actually got it, if I actually would want it. It's kind of like going out to the country. Yeah, I might like it for a little while. I grew up in the country. I know I like the country. Like, like outside of the city, not a specific country, just like outside of the city. But I'm sure before long, I'd say, I want to get back home. I want to get back to my usual surround. Maybe it's just that. Maybe it's not so much the city specifically. But I also was taking courses. Never got a degree, but some of them weren't degree courses. I also was working, not jobs I really liked that much. I was singing karaoke and had a bunch of karaoke friends that I saw fairly regularly. I was going to groups fairly regularly. Um, Now I don't really like to go downtown. Can't easily get there. Um, Things just seem to be harder lately. It's just, you know, um, and Rip Ray as well. Um, there was something else I was going to say. What was it? And, going back to school is a big commitment, a cost. And even if you take out student loans, then you have to pay them back. Um, well, QWERTY, you weren't shy with one comment, so hopefully you keep them coming. Sorry if I'm talking fast. Um, there's one other thing I kind of want to mention that kind of fits with some of this. Um, I'm in Canada, and there is a thing that I recently learned about called Canada Startups. I had to fill out a bit of information, and I feel very mixed as to what to think. Part of me thinks they're being, um, for lack of a different word, too aggressive, and part of me thinks it's telling me something that they are. That maybe this is what I should do. I know somebody who has utilized them, it sounds like once, maybe a while ago. I really need to find out more from her about that, I think, because, I also, yeah, like you said, it may be way beyond my needs, but I can still get information. I don't know if they're a scammer. She doesn't think they are. Um, but I gave my email and I gave my phone number, and I've realized that it's different employees reaching out, it seems like, and they may not have felt like their voicemail left because they left one. They've called about 3 or 4 times, twice, I think, on one day, and they've emailed 2 or 3 times. And I just don't know what to make of it. But we have 5 people here, so welcome. Again, I really hate to sound like a broken record. I think what I'm going to do is just quickly, I'm a pretty quick typer. Watch, prove me wrong, and me have to fix a bunch of typos as I do this. But in this video, I'm typing this so I don't have to say it because I've had to catch people up to speed a couple times. I don't know what MLM is, but I do know that FR is probably for real. In this video, I'm talking about looking at a post I've seen online and processing comments. Things to ponder. Okay, so yeah, so what is MLM? Martin Luther the Magnificent? um, I also feel that this is good to do because, like I say, I know that people will relate, and I think it'll help me get some things off my chest too. Help us all. A type of Ponzi pyramid scheme. Okay, so where are you watching from, QWERTY? I remember QWERTY makes me think of a couple things, but learning the keyboard. Um, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that it can be easy to think that because unfortunately there are a lot of those out there. There's a part of me that thinks that not doing it isn't helping me, and I need some things to improve. Asia, okay. Have you ever been to Canada? Probably not because you're young, but I shouldn't assume. And now it went to 0 for some reason. Anyway, but I do plan to research them more. I do plan to do that. Really, what it seems to be mostly about, though, is getting grants and funding. And the idea that I had. Oh, what parts do you hope? And is this the first video of mine you've ever seen, out of curiosity? Glad to have you here. At the moment, you're the only one chatting. But yeah, and the only one. Oh, no, somebody else just tuned in, so welcome. Um, the idea that I had does not look like it's going to come to be, whether I got this stuff in place or not. So I'm not too Other than that, I don't really think it's going to help me much as a musician. If you have song requests, feel free. Oh, cool. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you haven't. I appreciate it. Um, and I don't know. It makes sense if you're subscribed to somebody that it would notify you anytime they go live, but that sometimes often seems to be another setting within the button, which you probably know how to find at your age. Um, yeah, to be a photographer, to be a musician, to be a life coach. Maybe the life coach one because then I could open up an office. Do I need to though? Or would I rather work from home? I don't know. That hasn't been working very strongly. But again, I'm not largely known about. That's the I guess part of it. I do try and put myself out there sometimes. The thing is like if people are ever saying I'm looking for this, most often by the time I get to it, there's already been a bunch of other people making recommendations, and it isn't me because they don't know about me. you know, um, every now and then I'm one of the first one or two or three, and now we got three people here. Welcome, but yeah, and I'm thinking of a recent example actually that just came to mind. But the guy was kind of and it's not a big thing. It's not. I'm just really a curious thing, Purdy. Um, what's your gender identity? I'm just curiously wondering. Um, part of me feels like I talk different. No, I don't. I don't really. I talk to everybody the same. I do know that lately I've been feeling like because I'm at that chapter in life for me, where, like I say, things are a bit quieter lately in a lot of, because I'm not as involved in things, like I said, and I've been trying to figure out how to do that again, but not without challenges. But I guess I feel like I need a bro, but I also feel like I need sisters, or I don't want to exclude anybody, you know. Um, Looking back at these comments. And if you wonder what I'm doing in this post, one of you left out of the three, but I think I know one of the ones that's still here. One, two, three, four. At my most recent comment says what I'm doing in this. So I'll let you read that. And yes, like I say, if you have song requests, I am musical. This mentions something about. I don't know if I want to mention it though. How many of you watching experience restlessness? And is it often? And what do you do about it? I know some people are going to say they go for walks or they go to the gym, and those are fine. I would say that they aren't motivating enough. That's what the word is. That's what the phrase is. I would say that they're not motivating enough for some of us. Also, what are your thoughts about being in the present? I have one that always comes to mind when I hear it. I also have another one that probably has always been back there, but it just kind of came to mind now. I don't think any of us can not live in the present. It's just a very natural way of being, whether we know it or not, or like it or not, you know? Yes? No? Hmm. Yeah, I mean, some people, well, maybe not so much when they get married, but when they have kids, they either feel that they do or they often do have to put their dreams on hold. So this guy making the point about not having kids, not being married, is living a lot of his dreams, and that went to zero, but up and now it's back to one. Um, I will never forget when one person said to me, "I wish I had the free time that you had. I could get so much done." Just because I have a lot of free time doesn't mean I can get a lot of stuff done. I try. I'm going to turn this light off because the sun has come out a bit more. I try. But that does make me think of a song, but I don't know if I want to sing it. And I don't know. If it's still QWERTY watching, I have a feeling, and I know I shouldn't presume, but I just don't know if I really like the song that much. I know me and my mother used to kind of joke about it a bit. They used to try and imitate the singer, but I have a feeling you probably wouldn't know the singer anyway. If somebody's it's QWERTY or somebody's flashing at the top, keep saying 1-0. A few seconds later, 1. A few seconds later, 0. What's going on there, man? And by the way, regardless of your gender, I don't do it a lot compared to some people, but every now and then I'm going to say man or dude, and that's just language. It's not, you know, anything more than the word. And now we got 2 people here. So for those that don't know, my most recent comment, mine, that I put in the chat, that's what I'm doing. And that'll make sense why I'm not saying anything and just got it there. I'll say something again in a moment. If you look back on your life, you can find something positive to build on. That's an interesting thought. And probably true, too. This is weird. I'm just noticing something over the corner of my eye. I think it's this. No? I'm going to have to show you this. It's very weird. I can't figure it out. We have a garbage bin here, which I did empty the other day. So maybe because there's not something inside it. But not a bin, like a bucket thing. And there is this light dancing on it. Sorry, that post is in the way. Almost looks like a fire or the viewer left, but I'm just going to keep it on this for a while because I'm trying to figure this out. Signs and symbols from the angels aren't usually, seems to be moving a little less now, aren't usually quite so visually obvious, but makes me want to be out in the country burning a pile of stuff I don't want anymore. I don't know. I'm wondering what that could be about. What kind of it seems to be a bit fainter now, but it's still there. What sort of symbology that could be about? I'm going to show you again in case you're just tuning in. It is definitely a bit fainter than it was, but it's still noticeable. Do you see it? And there's a window behind. The first point of the matter is that nothing is really different today than any other day in the room. I thought maybe the water that was sitting on the couch, but I moved it and that kept moving on there. I can't figure out what's causing that. Other than that, yeah, maybe, not to freak anybody out because it would only be. Man, my ears went funny. What's in here? Nothing. Because I emptied it the other day, like I say. And now it's not there anymore. It's coming back. Oh, and now it's very bright again. I have never noticed this. I have never noticed this. Can you see that from your end very clearly? It kept catching the corner of my eye. The other day it was a bottle. I was seeing it on the bottle glistening, the water, but I wonder what that could be about. So that's a topic we can talk about. No need to fear. I'm sure it's positive energy of some sort because that's all that I allow. and I know that I have lots of loved ones that have passed away that might be trying to communicate, and they're positive energy. Um, Other than that, this podcast is about what my most recent comment in the chat says near the bottom there. Mine, the one I put. I can't help but think that that seems like it reminded me of a fire. We have had some very nice weather in the evening. Um, Last night, I think it was cooler, but then it kind of warmed up a bit, and then probably got cooler a bit. And I think it rained quite a bit overnight. And I have been craving, and we do have a pit, but we don't have firewood. I've been, and yeah, I mean, mixed feelings because I miss my camping days, and there's been a lot of devastating fires not super far from where we live, and Gary wouldn't want me to not do it just because of how he passed away. Not my dad, the other one, but it kind of makes me want to have one of those. I don't know if there's anything kind of connected to anything that's been said here that also could maybe connect to it, but yeah. This is very interesting. This comment on this post, the viewer left, the poster had said something about feeling like he's a waste of air and space that somebody else could have. And this guy named Mark says, "You're a caring person." I didn't post this, but I would hope he would say the same to me. The fact you think that you're wasting someone else's air proves that. How's that for deep? Woo. Wow, this is also quite deep. Starts off with this. Just jumps right into this with this comment. And in 20 years, well, I want to wait till someone tunes in because this will be a funny moment well, not a funny moment, but an interesting moment to tune into. Where did you go, Purdy? Looks like nobody's here right now. In 20 years, you may witness an accident and save someone's life. Or you may witness something and save someone's life. I guess if you get the yeah, that's an interesting thought. I never hugely like when people discount someone's struggle by talking about people that have it worse. And the people that are struggling probably do realize that people have it worse. It's just not helpful, I find. It says join a billion other people in the world, at least you probably have drinking water. And water is life. It's an important part of life, but people need more than that. It's unfortunately that's anonymous. So you can see my comment, my most recent comment that I put. That's what we're doing here. And I'm still trying to figure out this interesting thing that's kind of going on to my one side here. It's really big right now. But it was sure dancing earlier. I know right now it just looks like there's just a bit of light on the bucket. But it was moving. It was more centered before. The size and shape, and I don't know what it's reflecting off of. Like I say, nothing is different in this room than it's been in a long time. Is it this? No. I can't. Also, curious what people think of the afterlife while we're on the topic. um, this guy, is it a guy? Yeah, because it's a men's group. Um, Although some women are in there because they're trying to learn about, I guess, men's perspectives, but every man's different. Yeah, there's similarities. I do feel we're more alike than we're different, but anyway. as people in general. A lot of people would love the opportunity to be young and free to do whatever they want, within reason. Um, I would like to say anybody can, but I know sometimes it is hard to do, no matter how much you want it. Sometimes it's really weird. Like cheese, and we can't have that. By the way, I need to order some stuff soon, including cheese. Just so you know. Um, this is a very interesting comment that somebody put on the post. By the way, I should state, because I know YouTube can be very random. If I mean, I think you'll notice this, but if any of this sounds familiar to you, like you put this comment somewhere on social media, I'm not saying anybody's names, okay? But this is very interesting. Worst case scenario is my ultimate goal. When I die in the coming years, I'm 64 and failing health. My organs will be harvested, my body cremated, and my ashes will go to the only place I was ever happy. Seriously? At 64, they've only been happy in one place? That's actually kind of odd to me. Nobody now alive except me and the person who moved my ashes there will know where it is by design. I mean, maybe if they lived in a certain place and they haven't lived in a lot of other places, maybe one or two other places, and that was how general do they mean? That's what I'm asking. And I may never know. Who is somebody? Here's an interesting question. Who is somebody who you wish you could swap lives with, and why? And I'm going to add another part to that question. Firstly, somebody famous. Doesn't necessarily mean celebrity, but somebody famous. Secondly, somebody in your life. Work on that while I work on the next thing to bring in. Although I will say, Brandon, that this is not right. Just because somebody is 40 does not mean that they have the majority of their life ahead of them. They have about half of their life if they live into their elderly years. If. He can't guarantee they will. Nobody can. Go to an old folks home and meet some lonely people. A lot of people at old folks homes actually aren't lonely because they're amongst the other residents. I get what he's saying, but I can't hate the guy though. He's trying to be helpful to the guy that posted it and anybody else who sees it. But he's a little bit, yeah. Just waiting for another comment to jump out at me here or here. Person that just tuned in, please see my most recent comment that I put in the chat. That's what we're doing here. By the way, yesterday, I don't know if I should try for a Guinness record, but yesterday I think I saw the longest video I've ever seen on YouTube. And how long do you think that is, by the way? Without looking it up, how long do you think the longest video on here is? Because I did look it up. It's no longer there because maybe it just wouldn't post. I was going to say how long their longest one that has posted is, but I'll let you answer the other part first. And like any long video, sometimes there will be a need to take rests or breaks. I might need to soon, just so you know, but not yet. I mean, processing this post and just going quiet for a bit is in some way doing that. I'm just going to read this first part of this comment because even though I've said some other stuff and you might be working on comments about it, I just like how this is said from Jason. Brother, I hear the weight in your words. I know I haven't said what the post was, but I've been in places where it felt like I was just existing too, and it's a heavy place to stand. Legacy is about the impact you make in the moment you're given. I came up with a possible title today, actually called Existential Moments. Hard to say, but yeah. And what are you trying to say by that, Bang Tam boys? Interesting name, by the way. Now there's four. That I'll say what I sometimes say, even when the numbers aren't that large. Um, People's devices die. People have distractions come up in their life. People intend to come back later, perhaps, and sometimes do. Um, there is a lot of stuff on YouTube, and some people go by the numbers, and they let them decide whether something's good or not. You also have the will to decide yourself. Um, Legacy. It's about who you become when life feels empty and what strengths you choose to stand on when your mind tells you that there's no point. Um, there's always something in you that hasn't been awakened. Passion isn't found; it's built. Hmm. I'm actually near the bottom of the comments on here anyway, just to let you know. I'm just noticing that. Um, and a man or anybody can start building at 40, 50, or even 70. The path doesn't define the story, you do. Hmm. You've got breath in your lungs for a reason, and there's still a chapter ahead of you that you haven't written yet. One decision, one shift in how you see yourself, that can be the spark that changes things. Somebody's asking what they do for work. I mean, I'm inclined to say that the person who posted probably doesn't, but maybe they do and they hate their job. How we're all insignificant but still significant. Are you still there, Bangtan boy? And now there's 204, but whatever. So it was a good time to ask that. But no, I'm more inclined to think that's like a sun. Interesting sky picture, though. I will say that. Although I don't know. Okay, that's interesting. Um. Okay, so yeah, I've looked at most of the comments to that post. I just got a little bit distracted. There's something in my notification on a post that says too many. This is just a quote. I swear it's Keanu Reeves, but it looks like it says Lady Henderson, whoever the heck that is. Too many people treating the wrong people right and the right people wrong. Thoughts? Um, and then yeah, if there's any song requests that you have, maybe we round this off with a song. Sorry, I'm not fully looking at the video, but I'm just kind of now I am. Part of it was kind of what created the content for this video. So it's a lot darker in the room than it seems to be on the screen. Anyway, for now, just because I don't want it to influence anybody else's feelings, I'm just going to remove that one comment just because I don't honestly know why you said it. I mean, you could have just thought that in your mind, and hopefully you heard my reply to it though. Well, we got three of you here. I want to give you something enjoyable to listen to. So, yeah, if you have a song request, or if you've heard any of the rest of this video and they have thoughts on it, I'll give you a few moments to put comments. I got time. And I also got now four people. Oh, but then it went down to three again. But I've seen people seemingly go and come back pretty quickly like they didn't intend to. So, didn't intend to leave. And why would they, to be honest? I'm just kidding. Two can make the dream come true. Three, because it's plain to see. One could be less fun unless it is the coolest one. Show me how cool you are in the comments. That made me think of another song, but I don't think it's "You Know You're Cool." I think "You Know It's Cool." All that we've been through, I know it's cool. You know that song? Name that tune. We got three of you here. We could play Name That Tune even. Except if you get, I don't have any song ideas, so if you gave them to me, you'd be naming the tune. It's amazing though. Some people don't pay that close attention, so they might not notice. Except I'm mentioning it, so I would think they probably would. Yes, I'd asked a question earlier. Also, how long do you think is the longest video on YouTube? This isn't it, just so you know. Both how long do you think someone can live stream for, and how long do you think, yeah. I think if it was Pink Poodle, oh, now I'm saying, but there's probably more than one that goes by just those two words, or Janie, you'd know. Da, 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 da. Huh. I'm going to show you an interesting art piece. If you don't mind skull images, which other person in the house thought I didn't like them? I don't know. I said it depends. I could show you an interesting image. Let me know. What's her name again? Right. We got two people here. If you'd like to see an interesting skull image, I think he also said that it didn't. I think he said it didn't say the artist's name, did he? I don't recall. Oh, did I just see? No. So there's been some. Um, there's been some interesting and deep questions asked earlier in this video. I'm not going to go through them again because I went away from the post. And I mean, I could say the ones that stand out if you'd like, if you haven't been here to hear them. Otherwise, you can check those out later. I went from three to one to three again. And if you have any song requests, put them below. And yeah, in the chat. And yeah, I've been talking for an hour, so I'm just going to give myself a small rest. However, um, I guess it's so that we can keep up with it, but there's a YouTube notification section too. Email likes to send an email saying now live on your channel for some reason. So I'm reminded specifically what I put the title as. I do feel like we've already kind of addressed the first part. If you missed it, you can come back and see it later. No problem. It started about 7 minutes in, I would say, 7 or 8 minutes in. Truly got moving and grooving. Now we got 3 to 1. Um, but I'm going to focus on the latter half. Some of what has been said kind of covers it, but what is the future that you wish to create for yourself? You know, I am tempted to say even people who enjoy their life that they're living have certain goals for their future. And if you're someone who doesn't set goals, I can understand that too. I'm curious why not. I'm curious what it would take to make you set goals again in your life. I'm pretty sure that if you don't, one of the reasons would be because you've found disappointment. You've struggled to reach them. Um, so, I mean, again, you may have other answers as well, but I guess the second part to that would be, well, if I had more successes in my life, I'd believe in things again in that way. And I get that. I'm pausing to allow for comments to come in. I think I will have to run upstairs briefly, shortly. Briefly, shortly, shortly, briefly. But I know that I've mentioned a lot of questions in this. I can't see what the person on the other side of things is doing, whether they're working on a comment or waiting for the question that they want to answer. Um, and somebody just tuned in. I just thought of another one, but I have to retrieve it again because it's slipping from me. So just a moment here. What is something interesting about yourself? I think that was it. What is something you think is kind of interesting about yourself? Which may or may not sound similar to what something you're most proud about of yourself and in your life. Those may be two different questions. So I'm a curious person, and sometimes I see questions within questions. So it wasn't really contributing, nor was it really all that positive. So the person that just tuned in, have you previously been here or are you just coming in? I just don't want to repeat myself if you've already heard things I've been saying. But if you just tuned in, I can catch you up. And then now there's two of you here. And I've got to think that maybe one of you has just come in here, at least to this video for the first time, if not to the channel for the first time. Oh, but now it's down to one. And which one of you left and which one of you stayed? That's the question. Whichever one of you stayed, I'm really thankful and appreciative. And I kind of feel like it's meant to be. You're meant to be here. Uh, you're meant to be here in this life. You're meant to be here on this live. And now we've got two. Maybe the other person came back. Maybe it's somebody else. Either way, welcome. Um, Also curious. Okay, you left. Also curious if who we've currently got watching three went from one to three. That's happened a few times in this. Um, if you post content yourself, what kind of content do you post? I mean, that's one that people will want for sure answer because they want people to know about their channel, I would imagine, and their content. You know, they do it because they want it to do well, I would imagine. I mean, sure, sometimes we do it for ourselves, but more it's for the viewers, right? I'm just seeing a post. No, I'll go back to that question. What do you think is something most interesting about you? I asked one the other day, but when I asked it at that particular time, nobody was there. So, uh, and I don't think I realized that. But have you ever said, Kate, you left. So I'll wait. I don't know, even someone who seemed to enjoy being here in the chat. But again, it may not have been a personal reason that he left. Oh, it wasn't something I said. What is, here's another one. What do you think is one of the most interesting Guinness records you've ever seen? Have you ever set one? Or is there one you'd ever like to set out of curiosity? I kind of also don't know if I really feel like asking what people think is the longest video on YouTube. And, people might say when they hear this, people need to get a life. Sometimes easier said than done. However, I was watching one such video the other day, and the person said they really do have quite a bit of one. There was two people in it. There may have even been the occasional third, so they were able to kind of switch off a little bit. I was very surprised. I was very surprised to see it. They were engaging with the audience. They were supposed to be making art, but I'm not saying what I saw wasn't well done or wasn't nice. And one of them was chatting, and the other one was, well, she kept moving that box around, and I saw a lot more of moving supplies around, to be honest. But they were kind of both chatting with each other, and one was kind of replying to me and following the chat, and occasionally the other one was, and so But I still can't believe. I'll say it. I'll say it because why not? We have three viewers here. If I tuned in at about the 12-hour mark, they went for eight. Um, how did I know this? Because when I got up from the nap, they weren't still rolling. But that was early after. No, they must have been. No, maybe I was at the 14-hour mark. But even still, that's. And it got to be 18. And then it keeps showing me the video. I keep clicking it, and it says video not available. And yeah, it doesn't seem to be. But the rest of their channel is. So I'm thinking YouTube didn't like an 18-hour video. However, they have, again, it's showing it. I haven't tried clicking it, but they have one that's 11 hours. Um, and it's posted many years ago. Again, I haven't tried clicking it, but when I Googled it, the longest video on YouTube, there's two people here. If you want to make a quick guess before I say the answer, I don't even understand the answer, if which in more ways than one. Okay, nobody's here, so I'll say it. 596 and a half hours. I guess, yeah, that's a number. We just don't usually hear things much beyond 24 hours in one chunk, right? So, anybody good at math? Also, my computer did something really weird this morning. It opened up the calculator a bunch of times. I don't even think I clicked it, but maybe I did. Let me just see here for a moment. Now, I'm not great at math, but let's use one of these calculator things. That one's got something already in it because it's a shared device, so I don't know what that is. How would I do that math? Um, I know this may seem like a silly question, but math is not my forte. Would I go 365? No, 596 hours. Trying to figure out how many days that is. 24. I have to know what to multiply it by to get 596. The only thing I can think of to do is push a random number, a fairly big one, times 50 maybe, equals It was less than that. How do I clear this? I don't use this thing very often. I'll just close one of the versions. Um, but I wasn't okay. So 24 hours in a day times. Does this say? That only has a two-tone color and pattern switching place, whatever the heck that means. And it kind of says it twice. Attribute. Then there's one that says the top 10. 24 times. What did I do? 50? That was too much. When I think about how much it was too much, I'm tempted to say 15. Let's try that. Okay, we're closer. So I'm going to guess then, based on that, that 596 and a half hours is probably something like 5.5 days. Is that right? No, sorry. 15, 17, or 18 days. And I can't fathom that, especially considering what Google seems to be just saying it is. I mean, I could barely fathom the one I saw yesterday, but I mean, I enjoyed chatting with them, and they came on to my video that I did for a little while. Wow, those were still rolling, of course. But hey, I'm glad they did. I just can't fathom that. And I'm sure nobody else can either. If you are a content creator, again, I will ask, what kind of content do you create? And what's your longest video that you can remember doing that actually posted? Because, like I say, that 18-hour one didn't seem to actually play back. It was playing while it was rolling. That's the weird thing. I don't know. Maybe it was just YouTube being wonky. Anyway, I have to run upstairs briefly. I've said a bunch of things. Some of them only verbally, in parts you may have missed unless you came back. But even just on that topic, of course, if you're not a content creator, then you might not have anything to say much. So maybe I should say one other deep and profound question before I go for about 5 minutes, maybe. I don't know how to put something on the screen, so I'll just leave you with the question to hope to weigh in on. We got three of you here now. Yeah, I don't know how to add the fancy stuff. I know I've asked some good questions that I kind of want to ask again, but I feel like we've kind of been there. Ask those for now. Um, hmm. We have one person here, and if you're open to contributing, two now, if you're open to contributing in the chat, again, there's a part of me that's trying to think of deep questions to ask. I don't know if people would say that deep is the same as sensitive. That's what I'm, and by sensitive, I don't necessarily, well, are you okay with that? And then I can try and give my answer to the questions too. You know, it doesn't have to just be one sided. We got three of you here. I do have to go upstairs shortly, though, for a few minutes. But let me see if I can think of another one. Here is an interesting question that randomly comes to mind. How do I word it, though? What, and it's just random. It's just random. Um, what are the qualities in which you like or love in other people? In case you struggle with that question, I'm going to leave you with another one, and then I'll come back in a few minutes. What are the qualities that you like or love within yourself, and what are ones that you wish you could change or were different? And suddenly we have 8 people here. Wow. I mean, and now it's down to 4, but whatever. I mean, this is YouTube. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, and while live, I don't see that very often. Afterwards, maybe, but so for anyone that just tuned in, I think I'll just repeat that louder question. What are the qualities that you most like or love about other people and about yourself, and least like or love? And I'll be back in about 15, no, about 10 to 15 minutes. I'll give you time to answer that, and I have to do something, but I'll be right back. And for those that are older and don't know where to find the chat, it's along the right side. Or for those that just don't know. You just type in and then press the arrow or enter. Enter my. There's something else I was going to say too, but well, there's two people here. Doesn't look like anybody's answered the questions, but maybe you're still working on doing so. Um, I did think of another one, if you prefer this one, and also, I know that there are people here that are like to conversate. Out of two, I would think at least one, but um, and you can't be familiar with everybody right away on YouTube, but um, and um, I did have a follow up question to the previous question, but it really only makes sense if you're a bit more familiar with me than the two of you seem to be. Because if you were familiar with me, I think you'd be chatting, or I think you'd be putting comments. That seems to be the case. Um, but you're getting familiar, I guess, and yeah, not sure why you wouldn't, but anyway, um, what is something that you're most looking forward to in life? Maybe a different way of asking, what is something that you wish time would speed up for? What is something that you wish you could go back in time for? I was thinking about the title of the movie Back to the Future recently, actually, and it's weird. I'm sure I've processed those words as they are before, but it was suddenly like, oh, that's actually interesting wording. I don't think I've seen the movie a long time ago, or I've seen parts of it online, and I saw, I guess I'd call it a parody of it in a theater thing, which actually the other person in the house got to be part of. Had an instrument with them, and it just ended up being incorporated. Whoops. Did I bring that other one over here? I thought I did, but I just don't see it, so that's okay, whatever. So at this point in current time, we just have one person here. And I'm not quite ready or feeling like I have to. Oh, no, there's two. Wrap up yet. And so I've been talking mostly for an hour and a half. But again, there's various reasons, not all personal, why some people haven't, contributed or maybe meant to like and it didn't stick or whatever. But so at this point in time, unless something else pops into my head, which it might, I am relying on the other person that's viewing to help kind of momentum with this because I'm not sure what else to bring into it. So, in the brief pause, waiting for people to weigh in and request a song or ask me something that they've always wondered about in the regarding life. I went to social media and I'm seeing something I don't think I'm going to include as a topic in here, but it's. I wish the person wasn't anonymous opposed to this because I look at that question, it's kind of stupid, to be quite honest. Just itching my leg. So yeah, I've been talking for a while. Now I'm kind of relying on, at the moment, the two people that are here. If any of them wants to weigh in, like I say, with a song suggestion and such, or a certain band that you like, if you can't think of specific songs. Although if you think of the band, you might think of the songs. What a two-way. Thought of another question. I don't know if I want to ask it though. I was kind of surprised how full of questions I am today. But then again, some of them were based on that post. And just like questions, songs, you think of one, sometimes it makes you think of another one. That's not three new posts. I don't know why it said it was. Some of them must have been gone. Tempted to go to that group, but I know I should. Maybe I'll go to this group while waiting for your comments to come in. I mean, similar to the question of how did you come across this video would be, I suppose, out of curiosity, um, what sparked your interest? Um, yeah, feel free to put it in the chat. Don't worry, I'm not judgmental. A little mental sometimes, just kidding. But I'm not meaning to joke. Mental health is a serious thing. But I'm not one to judge, at least not harshly. And I'm certainly not meaning to offend anybody. And if I do, I can rephrase what I said, or we can hopefully get past it. You know. For instance, I wonder if some people have come to this video because they're lonely or bored, or both. And I'm not judging that. If you're lonely or bored, I'm happy to be here to keep you company. Um, if it was something about the title and you'd really love to kind of say something about it, do so. You know, I'd love to talk with you about what your thoughts are. I also see someone has a not only a video but a channel called Squirrel Nest. I don't know if I would have called it a nest that they make. And why is there a whole channel devoted to it? I'm tempted to click this one podcast, and this is no offense to anybody who's religious. I'm just also looking at lives myself that are going on at the moment. Not only does he look like he's talking very fast in the preview, but I think he's going to be a little bit too much religious for my. I don't know how to say it, but other than that, okay, I'm going to just do some reading and see if either of the two of you say anything. It's fluctuated. It's fluctuated. Like I say, maybe some people meant to press like and it didn't stick, or they meant to come back and maybe they have, maybe they haven't. But the two of you that are here right now, I feel that's meant to be, and I'd like to kind of learn a bit more about each other, and or at least converse with each other. And we have three now, so that's an interesting phrase. I'm on the verge of my life. I know what they mean, but that's an interesting phrase. The last name implies that they might be, English not first language. Whoops. Um, those look like some yummy dishes. Although, what the heck is that? I don't know. But aside from giving you opportunity to chat, someone who's been talking for more than an hour would want a bit of a rest, even if they've got very, good vocal abilities. Which reminds me, yes, if there's any song requests, feel free to put them in the chat. Some people may think when I'm repetitive that I'm really trying hard. We may have different people here than when I said it last time. And it keeps coming to mind. That's really, that's really what it is. I'd like to ask for prayers or healing for somebody who's posted just noticed in this group. However, they posted anonymous, and I haven't read the full post yet. So just a moment. That is really sad. This is really sad what I just read about. Basically, there is a woman, it sounds like, with a 15-year-old daughter, and they have become homeless now, living in their car. Uh, her dad, no, her husband slash the daughter's dad passed away. Um, I'm guessing that she's referring to the one that passed away as the one that the daughter looked at as a stepdad. I mean, although no, her real dad passed away, and she looked at her husband as a stepdad. Meanwhile, she's saying we couldn't take the husband's abuse anymore and cheating. Now, I'd like to address something about that. Um, Abuse is definitely not something that people should tolerate. I saw a post or saw a comment the other day that said something about where some people, I think mostly men, but whatever, seem to be encouraged in cheating. I'm not. When I say, though, that I don't think that there's really any problem with a consensual, open, or polyamorous relationship. So if she hadn't said, although it still is up for interpretation, if she hadn't said abuse and cheating, if she did, if she had said abuse but by cheating, I would say I need more information because I don't know if I would say that little Amona 15 sax. Are you talking about the instrument? Are you meaning to type the other word and put the wrong vowel? What are you trying to say with that word? Um, okay, it sounds like, yeah, it sounds like he was at least verbally abusive. Sounds like she has a cousin that lives 3 hours away from her. She'd like to go there, but she can't afford the gas. So I guess let's just hope that she gets help with that and is able to stay with her cousin. She thinks it's going to take a couple weeks. Oh, because she's waiting to get paid. I think if she asked, she might get some help. She says it's her first time going through this, but so I think it's common sense. If you see an easy solution and you, yeah, I think it makes sense. Um, Reminds me of a friend that I had in the UK. He was living with his parents. They weren't getting along. He didn't have a lot of friends. He was a bit of a very smart autistic spectrum. So whether we want to say outcast or not, I don't know. And I guess, yeah, it's true. Not the child. I don't even know if he did on the other one. Um, and he had a fairly good friend. He didn't want to ask him if he could stay with him. And he didn't really seem to be doing much other than just locking himself in his room. And I guess in some ways it was working for him, but I didn't get that. I didn't get that in some ways. We got 5 of you here. Welcome. Little Amona. Amanu. Curious what the 15 is for? Curious why you're mentioning an instrument or seeming like you're mentioning a brass instrument. 5 to 2. It's interesting that she feels like she failed her daughter but got her out of the toxic house. So that's not a fail. I guess because she can't provide for them. And it's easy to fall into despair pretty quickly when you're going through something like that, I would imagine. And then you might not think logically in some ways. I'd like to think I'd still be fairly logical, but that's me. That's a song. I am going to go upstairs for a moment because I need to. And I'm also going to look up a song idea that I just got um, and see. Oh, yeah, I kind of want to do that one too. Lately, it seems I've lost inspiration. But I'm going to look up a song and see if I think that I might want to do it. I heard it not that long ago for the first time in ages. But I just want to know that I like the words enough and that I think I could cover it, that there's not a lot of other instrumentation which might make it hard because it is a full band. But I know that I can't play the original in this video. So I'm going to go do that as soon as I find it. Why is it? Okay. Oh. Do I care about the band name? No, I guess it's okay. I'll be back. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't. Curious how long you've been here for on this video. Curious if it's your first time on the channel. Oh, baby. So we got two people here. Back. So we got three. And the song I was going to do, it's interesting that the guy kind of looks a bit like me. Um, I couldn't make out some of the vocals. It is kind of fitting to this video in the theme, but I'm not so sure. I. It's not that I'm not a talented musician, not to toot my own bugle, which is not what I play, but I just don't know if I could pull that one off on the spot, especially. But we got, I think it went from 1 to 4 suddenly, and 3. But anyway, it did randomly without like I didn't even click it. It just suddenly, as soon as I clicked this, it was, and it didn't think it was in a playlist. It says that it's in a playlist. So I'm gonna look for some ideas there. I also, when I came down and back to the couch here, my one device is sitting on the couch, and it has something up here that I don't remember showing on the screen when I went upstairs a moment ago. So I'm just curious what it is and if it might be something worth talking about. And I get the gist of it already, but I feel like I should wait till there's somebody here. And it might seem ironic, but okay, I see. So basically, this post that in a group says, someone asked, "Why are you always there for everyone?" I answered, "Because I remember what it felt like when I needed someone and no one showed up. I promised myself I'd never let anyone feel that kind of emptiness if I could help it." And the person left in the middle of reading it. They're like, yeah. But that's, truly one of the reasons why I do the videos, aside from sharing music. It's, you know, yeah. I know that there are people out there who need somebody in their corner, in their day, you know, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, whether you relate to this or not. I'll share an example. I go to a group, it's on hold for a little while now, but I go to a group as we get through people in person, and I haven't been that many times, and it was the first time I'd met this one particular lady, but honestly, a lot of them were very similar. It was just the the pain that I saw in her eyes, like literally, as everybody leaves. Yeah, she was talking about a loved one's passing away, but I had never seen, and I mean, whether it's watching Teresa or Matt, which I haven't watched either in ages, or I don't know. I don't look at myself. I mean, I don't know. I had never seen so much tears in someone's eyes in one sitting. It was, and she was very lonely. She um, has a horse that outside of the city, and but she drives, and it may not be super far away. But she also was on. She may not have been in great shape, but she was on temporary disability because of a surgery. So she was not used to being at home, and not having really much to do other than maybe the occasional errand or chore. And I just felt so bad for her, I mean, because not for the same reasons, but a lot of days, and it's part of the reason I come on here, but it's not the only reason. It's certainly not just for my own needs, but a lot of times I really relate to that kind of feeling. We did talk, her and another lady and I. We talked afterwards outside the building. Um, One of them brought me home and seemed like she was open to connection. I mean, she just simply hasn't seen the messages yet. It'd be really funny if she's the person that just tuned in. I'm not saying anything super specific, but I never really. It just didn't happen. A way to keep in touch with this other lady, and I don't think about it a lot, but when I do, it just makes me sad. To think that she lives alone. and I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but that she lives alone and she, whether she has a pet or not. I mean, pets are great, but like that she lives with, uh, because like I say, this horse is, you know, outside of the city a little bit because you can't really have them inside the city. Although I swear I still remember a time I seen someone go down our street riding one, and that was a very interesting coincidence the other day with the miniature pony. After finding out about someone I know who passed away who had one of those, YouTube randomly suggested. Um, I forget what it was called, the video, but and it was even the same color. Um, I'm curious how you stumbled upon this video, and if it's your first time on this channel, welcome. You left, but anyway, maybe it doesn't do me much to say, I mean, and I try to be good company. I don't necessarily, have, and I mean, I don't know. I think she doesn't Facebook very much. I mean, but even if you do, I mean, it varies. Sometimes you feel, you know, yeah. Um, but yeah, I just felt so bad for her. She didn't live close to me. She didn't live super close, but we could have found a way to connect. And like I say, it's not all about me. So if there had been anything that she ever wanted to talk about, I could have been here for that. And I know that there are so many other people that are struggling. Whether it's very obvious or they kind of hide it well. Amongst other things they do in life. I know that there are people out there that need someone to talk to. As we got 3 people here now, that maybe they don't want to burden their loved ones or their family. I mean, technically, you could burden anyone, but I would try not to see it that way. I would see it as feeling utilized and trying to be helpful, and hopefully being helpful. So if you have something that's weighing on you, thanks for the like. If you have something that's weighing on you, please put it in the chat. You don't have to deal with it alone. You don't have to. There may be an easier solution than you realize. Adiyahu, it looks like anywho, which I sometimes say, fake friends. You're saying you have fake friends. Okay. Um, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask you a couple questions on that. I'm not saying that you're wrong necessarily. Why do you feel that? Why do you feel that? I mean, people have busy lives. Is it simply that you just don't see each other very often, or I think you sent that through before you meant to, or just simply being vague? But recently, what? It's so cool to see some of the people I've watched live come in here too. Well, I know they have. They just haven't made it obvious. And I know you're not shouting. You do have the caps key on, but maybe you are shouting. I hate fake friends. Recently, dot dot dot. I'm not trying to laugh at your situation though, so please realize that. Obviously, I'm pretty caring. And I also have chilly feet. I kind of want to put my socks on, just so you know. But then I feel like I'd have them on for a few moments and then find myself too warm. Maybe my shoes. I'll wait till your next comment in case I want to take a moment to think about it. We have 3 of you here right now. And I know it doesn't represent each like because some of you just tuned in, unless you're coming back. Either way, feel free to like and comment and subscribe and all that good stuff. I appreciate it. We used to be very close, and then our friend group dynamics changed. Out of curiosity, how old are you, by the way? 1 girl, 3 guys, 2 brothers. Oh, this sounds like a lot to unpack. We used to be very close, and then our friend group dynamic changed. 1 girl, and you're saying friends, 1 girl, 3 guys. I don't really think gender matters hugely most of the time, but let's see. 2 brothers within those 3 guys, or as well as those 3 guys. 1 friend with. This sounds very polyamorous, but I don't think it is. But that's what it sounds like. And they got to know about our situation, and they just threw. Okay, that's a little bit more elaborate, but I need a bit more than that to follow. Four friends, two of which are brothers. Why is that significant? I mean, because not all siblings get along with each other. Are you saying that the two of them are like being a team kind of thing? Where does the friend with benefits come into this equation? And I'm tempted to ask bullying how, because I'm wondering, I'm not saying they're not, but I'm wondering if it's just how you interpret. Maybe they're just being silly, mostly bully you. You save everyone how? Not saying you don't, I'm just curious. Other two people are welcome to weigh in with their own situations, or if you're making sense of what's being shared here. You may. Are they actually siblings? Not that this necessarily makes much difference, or are they just like bros? Bros. Bros and bras. Just kidding. I'm sorry. Um, some people, okay. And again, I don't know if that makes any huge difference, but some people, when you say snarky, yes, I hear possibly not nice bullying within that. I also hear that they might just be being sarcastic, which is just some people's personality. Pulling your hair is definitely not great, though. Playfully, you say, though. You say playfully and demeaning, and those are opposites. I just have to go and get my sandals because my feet are cold and I don't want to put on socks. I should probably eat a little more today too. Well, I had that fun. Where are my sandals? Here they are. Let's go grab. So I want to help you with this situation, but I'm also going to offer you something else. I'm also going to offer you something else. A couple things. And how old are you, by the way? I think you're probably pretty young, but I want to offer you something else. Aside from we'll try and see if we can find solutions to this situation, if there is any. Um, you can always come here to this channel when you need to talk. I also want to remind you to be there for yourself, to try and find some family or friends, a counselor if you feel like that's a good option for you. And, um, I'm just going to simply put this out there. If you feel like God, might be an option, to fall on, or angels. And your turn for what? And now it went, I think, 2 to 3 to 5. So feel free to share something you're going through that you're trying to figure out in your life, or weigh in on what Adiyahu is saying. Oh, well, okay, we have that in common then. First time on the channel, I'm guessing, by the way. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, all that goodness. 42. Second day in a row. I know that doesn't sound like much, but it is. Yeah, that's interesting to think. Yeah, I maybe missed that though if you said it. It's interesting to think. Would I call someone intuitive who believes in God, or were you referring to the angels mentioned? Okay, we've had two early 20s here. Out of curiosity, how old do you think I am? We got 6 people here now. Welcome. They're like family to me, but if I stay with them, I'm not growing or going anywhere. Perhaps I like that you go with the combination there. Um, well, I mean, you would probably know best. Yeah, yeah. I didn't know which one you meant, but they both kind of seem to work, right? You would probably know best. However, um, I'm really confused. Like I say, you said something about how they're playfully touching your hair, demeaning. Oh, are you perhaps saying that it's the guys and you think they're being like suggestive? which, if you're telling them to stop, they should stop. I mean, if you think you might have feelings for, I mean, it's hard when it's more than one, but yeah, I'm confused because those sound like opposites. You mean they were just playing around, but you didn't like it, I think is what you mean. I recently asked God for a sign through. Um, so let's do something here. We have three of you watching. Feel free to weigh in about something that you're struggling with, or weigh in to the other person's comments here. However, although now it looks like it's just us again. So I'm going to share something with you because you seem to be pretty open minded as a religious person. And I don't know how, well, you're 21, so I guess you haven't been religious. Well, maybe you grew up religious. Anywho, do you have a loved one in heaven that you would like some guidance from that stands out? Aside from that, person that just tuned in, if you've heard, okay, and who would that be? Because there could be more than one. Who comes to mind most strongly for you? And we got 2 to 4. So people are welcome to weigh in. And we have 5 now. I'm a very diverse person. I try to respect people as long as they're respectful. And the territory of which we are going into now, all I'll say is this: if you haven't had experiences, you can't say what's possible. You haven't experienced the same reality. So, but I have. I have felt the presence of angels. In fact, earlier in this video, I saw something I'd never seen before. Normally, I don't notice it in my environment. It's more of a telepathy thing. Uh, and it's certainly not like this way now. It is a bit cloudier outside, but we have a garbage bucket here um, with a bunch of plants around it and stuff. And nothing else is different in the room. And you can see it's about 20-30 minutes into this video. When you go back, you can look. And have you already liked and subscribed? Just curious. There is a moving light on it. And some people say orbs. I personally don't see them very often. In photos, maybe. Yes, sometimes it's just a light spot, But I'm definitely not discounting the fact that angels can visit us. So 3 of them. Your 2 grannies. It's very interesting that you say granny because I have a cousin that called her grandmother granny. I don't hear it very often myself. And my one grandmother's been passed away for I think 14 years. My other one passed very young. I never met her. However, she apparently did pretty well as a medium. So that must be where I get it from. And I know that she's been a very gentle, silly, compassionate individual. Um, I don't have a large family, and I don't really have a lot of family that really knew her. A lot of my dad's side passed away. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Passed away young. My mother didn't even know my dad's mother. I think she had already passed away. She met her father once in the hospital, passing away. Um, I should ask my mother, did he talk about his parents much? Well, I still can. But yeah, we just, anywho. So, the presence of dogs, I only really ever sense them as seeing them with our loved ones in heaven, on their lap, by their feet, sometimes running around. I don't really feel like they can give, because here's the thing: I mostly feel like there's still dogs on the other side, and as great as dogs are, they don't speak human. Angels were once human form, so they can. And I cover this quite often on my channel, actually, here. And whether it's better nation, I still have to figure out how that channel, how to set that up with this channel. But I think you'd probably be open to me seeing what the grannies might say. In fact, I wrote a song recently about my 5 grandmothers. I have my 2 biological ones, I had one when I briefly went to church for a while. Um, one who just reminded me of my grandmother because they both had the Scottish accent. Uh, who are the other two? Sorry to be talking about me. I just now I'm trying to remember who the other two are, and then I'll go into that. If anybody is going through something they want some advice on, feel free to put it in the comments. Feel free to comment on the comments if you like. Um, but no, I know I wrote, and it was five. There was five of them, which I know sounds weird. I know there was one person. I said it on social media. They just liked it. They didn't say, "How do you have five grandmothers?" Unless they meant grandparents. But still, you mostly only have four. Um, I've named three of them. I might have to look back at that. Anywho, now as we have five people here, again, if you haven't experienced this kind of stuff, you can't say whether it's real or not. I can try and show you that it is to the best of my ability after having been podcasting for 2 hours and it being early morning. But I know that I've had a lot of very real experiences and healing experiences. Um, I see signs and things sometimes. So I don't know if this will mean anything to you or not, but I'm going to say it just because there maybe is a connection. When I hear the word granny, I think of the names Dorothy and Adriana. Now, Dorothy is in fact, I had a grandmother named Dorothy, and I'm not talking about my grandmother when I say that. But when I mention the word granny, because I never called her that. Okay, those are English names. You're saying. I thought by your name you might be, but that's cool. Okay. And I don't know. There's lots of people of that culture that live in Canada. The one I'm talking about lives in Canada. I'm just curious if there's connections to this. And the one I'm talking about, because there might be similarities. If not, then I'll try and be a bit more specific. She loved Beanie Babies, collected Beanie Baby toys. The one that I'm talking about. Continue the Signs. I didn't know her that well because we lived in different places. There can be possibly Indian versions of American or English Canadian names or whatever, perhaps. Um. Okay, let's see here. You're saying continue specifically with the signs, and that I connect that to and what I'm making in connection to the word granny, and those are maybe the only ones I can think of. So let me see what else comes up. I sense that she is saying, and she's like, "Of course I believe in this. I'm up here amongst all the other angels, including myself." But she says, "This fella is not wrong to suggest that you lean on our God, that you lean on angels, um, that you lean on yourself. We all need somebody to lean on." Um, but she says that um, I do sense that there are some issues with a parent. Now, yeah, true. We could say that people, and it's not to mean to sound racist at all, but I think a lot of people do feel that people of Middle Eastern backgrounds, the parents are strict. I mean, whether we talk about arranged marriage or whatever. But honestly, strict parents and such can be in any culture, and many. But I do sense that there might be some sort of issue with one of your parents right now. Um, keep in mind, uh, all the three of the viewers that we have here, keep in mind, I've been doing this kind of thing for a long time. and not necessarily by choice, but it just so happens I mostly channel my own loved ones. So I'm not used to stepping out to channel for other people a lot. It's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I'm happy to do it. Um, is this accurate about the parent thing? I will also sense. I also sense that your one granny and I actually sense them sitting together right now, having a cup of a hot beverage, and I sense them. They're waiting for some sort of celebration up there for some reason. I sense um, that they both seem to be in agreement or in agreeing that one, possibly two, of the people that you mentioned having these struggles with above, that they are actually worthwhile to keep in your life. Um, Now, I'm going to weigh in and know the difference and say that because they're connected to each other, I do realize that that may be awkward. You're fab, friends with benefit. Um, it's really culture. That um, she's in Bangladesh and he's in Sri Lanka. Um, one, two, three. Didn't you say there was 4 or 5 people though? Um, One thing I will say is because they're all connected to each other and with what's going on right now, I would say that probably having some distance is probably not a bad idea from them. Um, I think by fab you mean FWB. Um, but in time, in time, it may make sense to revisit those connections. You still there? Just checking because it's down to one. Couple of viewers left. I think you are. I think you're getting something from this. Oh, you got to go. Okay, if you haven't liked or subscribed, hopefully you do. Uh, was this helpful? Um, I wish you all the best in dealing with your addictions difficulties. Uh, if you live in India, I don't know what the supports are like out there, but I would imagine they might be minimal for that kind of thing. Um, okay, well, thanks for subscribing and liking. I'm sorry that your answers are unanswered. Again, I've been rolling for over 2 hours. It's just about 11 o'clock here soon. I've been up for a couple hours or so. Um, Maybe they were in fact answered, and it just doesn't seem like it at this point. Possibly. Also, I wish I could point you to a specific video of mine where I'm doing this kind of stuff, and yeah, you won't know the person I'm talking about. I thought of it recently, so I'll share it. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. The name Colton is in the title. If you can find that, or the one where it says karaoke host friend, although that was the day I found out, the night I found out, so I was really just singing. Um, yeah, and you'll hear more of it, in future videos. So, uh, thank you for being here, and yeah, I hope that you get some help dealing with what you're dealing with, and yeah, we went from 1 to 5. The numbers are really bouncing around there. 6. So, who's next? Who is next? Um, what's something you're going through in your life that you would like some support in? We all have something, and sometimes it's hard to know who to turn to. So you're here for a reason. Six became 1. So the person who's still here is the one maybe that's meant to be here. Now it's 2. What is something? I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but in case you didn't hear it the first time, what is something that you're struggling with in your life right now that you would like some support around? Feel free to put it in the chat. Or if you have a song request, we can do that too to wrap things up shortly. I'm not in a huge rush, but and it's raining out today, so curious how you came across this video as well. Curious if it's the first one you've seen or not. And yeah. She must have liked it earlier then. Because I didn't notice a new light come in, but I could have maybe missed it. I just need to rest for a moment because I've been very chatty. And sorry, that's my hat here you're seeing there. I'm going to put it back on because that was messy. I'm also thinking of a way to wrap this up. If the person, if people that, if the person that's watching right now or anybody else that tunes in can't think of anything to share, this is just in the live chat, by the way. This won't show in the comment section, So, and I'm not a judgy person either. I mean, sure, I have opinions, but I try and deliver them respectfully. And if we're butting heads about something, hopefully we kind of work it out with each other. But I'm also going to sit here and think for a moment. And I've maybe done something like this in the past, but I'm going to sit here and think for a moment. And maybe I should try and do this within every video. I mean, I kind of do, but okay, I know what I'm doing. It doesn't seem like there's anybody here at the moment, so I'm just going to think. Somebody's here now. So, again, if you haven't heard me ask yet, if there's something you need support with in your life, feel free to put it in the chat. I'll see what I can do to help. Other than that, I'm going to sit and think for a moment to try and see if I can think of something, some advice general advice that I would give people based on my life experiences. Because we've all had the experiences we've had for reasons, and they could potentially be meant to help somebody. I am looking at 39 years of life. I would probably omit the first 5 or 6 because I don't remember them that strongly, and I was just so young. A lot of our learning, I mean, certain things we learn when we're very young, and then a lot of our other learning, whether it's in school or otherwise, comes as we become teens and adults, right? Kind of a hard question. Without kind of like somebody saying, like without a springboard, without like how about something around the lines of this topic or this theme? Then it might kind of jog something. At the moment, nothing's coming. But we got 3 of you here. So whether it's something in your own life or just life in general, what is something you'd like advice about? I'm going to still try and think something up myself, but what keeps coming to mind for me is basically the notion, or whatever you want to call it, of life is hard, but there is a lot of greatness in it as well. There's a lot of beauty in it as well. I don't care how hard someone's life is, there truly is. If you look and you process it, there truly is. And that is not saying that someone's struggles and situations aren't valid or that I don't care. That's not what I'm saying. Let me see if I can think of something else to add to that. I just got an idea. And I feel like I did this ages ago, but it's been a while. So I'm going to list and maybe say maybe four, well, maybe three, because there's three of you here, and we'll see how this resonates. I am going to list, we kind of talked about relationships with the previous video, a previous viewer that was commenting, but I'm going to list some of the kind of very human key things about life, if that makes sense, such as family, purpose, and one more, sense, um, getting to know yourself. And we have a fourth one, so getting to know others. Now I'm going to address each of those. I'm giving myself the topics, and you're welcome to put some as well. Family. What have I learned about family in my life experiences? I have learned to cherish the ones that you get along with, to cherish the ones that, um, yeah, that you get along with, because although it will eventually be hard to lose them, and the closer you are with them, the harder, it's not living life if you're not being around the people that you love, family or otherwise. I mean, it's sure there's a balance, and you got to appreciate the alone time and the together time with people. But if it's not balanced, try to get it to be, because not everybody's going to live to an old age, and life is just not promised. Um, there are also other people, like perhaps one or all of the three of you that are here, who do not feel that they have a very strongly connected family. Know that you're not alone. We have five now. Know that there are, at least online, support groups for that. Watch the one I'm in. Somebody's gonna come there and say, "I found this group because I was seeing a YouTube video and this guy said that there's a support group and blah blah blah." And it's a pretty good group. The admins, a couple of the admins. I mean, um, actually, speaking of Granny, I think one of them kind of goes by that. A little so. I don't think I've ever had a post approved, but I haven't tried that many times. I've certainly had some nice chats and met some people. Um, Mostly on the post, and then it kind of fades after a while. But that's, you know, we could try harder, probably. There's one. He's been a little bit inactive online lately, but he follows the YouTube channel, and I have him on another site. Um, Purpose. Um, if you're struggling to have purpose in your life, and I might try and section this to its own video if I can figure that out. And both of you left, so okay. And that's a hard one for me. It's. I guess I would just say that create it any way you can. In some, I mean, if it's not doing anybody harm, if you're struggling to find purpose, now we got two of you. Um, Whether you relate to this or possibly know someone who does, I think that most people would. Um, it's a learning process for sure. Um, if you're struggling to find your place of purpose in the outside world in this point in time in your life, and y'all left, or at least it appears like you have. Sometimes that's not accurate though. But anyway, back. I would say either try and get back into things you used to do, or just find things. I know this is maybe not a great suggestion. Chores. Find things to keep you busy. Hobbies. Okay. Following this channel, I find that it gives me purpose. And if you're bored and lonely or occasionally looking for something to watch, don't forget, like, subscribe. comment. Um, Getting to know yourself. Let me think about this for a moment. I think what's important in that, oh, wait, because it says 0 at the moment. And I maybe have given people, that were here some stuff to think about. It says 2. We are on the topic of getting to know ourselves at this point in time. First, thyself, aka you, yourself, getting to know you. And you may feel getting to know you, getting to know. Anyway, you may feel like you know yourself well, you may not. You may know somebody struggling with this. What comes to mind and the view of that, but it's really fluctuating. So I don't want them to miss anything. So maybe I'll use it as indicators to pause for a moment. And now they might be worrying that they've missed what I was going to add to that. So like, well, it's pointless. But no, I paused. I'm waiting for you. And maybe both of you came back. Either way, we got 2 people here. We're on the topic of getting to know thyself, and I think what I would suggest from what I've learned in my life is to just be very honest with yourself. Um, you have to give yourself the acceptance that you want from others. Firstly, hopefully you get it from others, but you have to give it to yourself first. Um, it's great to be honest in general, but yes, to be honest with yourself, and and realize that the world and people in it, it's very vast and diverse. So no matter where you fit yourself in, you won't be the only one. I mean, we're all unique, and we're all, you know, there was always something that's quite unique to you, hard to come by. However, um, don't just try and fit in with society. I mean, to a level, yes, I think that that's important. But otherwise, dance to the beat of your own drum. Um, what does that look like for you? And getting to know others. Um, what have I learned in my life? I've sometimes asked myself the questions. If I wasn't this, or this, would I accept that other people are? And I think I would. But I think that's the biggest thing, is accepting others. Um, Showing love and kindness. So we have 1 became 3. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, Finding out what they like, and then finding out, might you like it also, or can you just support and accept that they like it? I mean, there are exceptions, I will say. Some might be more obvious than others, where I think if somebody like that, yeah, we shouldn't associate with those kind of people. But you know, and I can't remember which of my recent videos, but it kind of came up in one of them recently, where it was kind of like, find what makes others light up and shine, figuratively, I guess you would say, and celebrate it, encourage it. Um, if it's not something harmful, um, and help them, whether they, especially if they seem to need it, but maybe even if they don't, help them to live into it, because we are given those things because we're meant to. They're meant to be us. They're meant to be a part of us. And I'm noticing that I probably want lunch soon. But anyway, um, I'll use some examples from my own self. Okay? If you know somebody who plays music, if they post it online, follow them. If they have gigs and you can get to them and you don't mind being at them, go to them. If you hear about a gig that you think they might like, and truly, sometimes also it is important to think before saying, oh, there's a gig, they're musical, boom. Have they ever mentioned not liking that place? Is it the kind of gig you think they'd want? Those kind of things. If you know people that are into photography, suggest going for a photo walk, suggest doing a photo shoot, suggest needs that you hear, specific. You know, it's I feel sometimes not enough to just say, no, I wish you the best with your endeavors. Sometimes people really need tangible, specific things. Got 4 of you here. Curious how this is resonating. Curious how you came across the channel. Welcome. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you wish. If it's just simply a personality or a characteristic, such as they're a very helpful person, really take a look. Take a look and see. Do you see that they're getting the opportunity? Like, we don't know what we don't know. We don't see what we don't see about somebody's life, right? I'll address that comment in a moment. But if you're not sure, ask the person. You know, I know that you're very helpful in nature. Do you find like you're getting to use that ability as much as you would like? Even better if you're approaching them with that because you have some suggestions. If they say, no, not really, actually. What's the purpose of life? Khurshid Anwar asks. And I think I've covered some of it. You just tuned in, perhaps, but I think I've covered some of it. The purpose in life is to do our best to live it, to do our best to be a good person, and accept and love others, to enjoy all the beauty and interesting things that are in life, because it can be so easy to focus on the opposite sometimes, or to not see it, but it's there. It's there. Um, Hopefully that answered the question. If you want to be more specific, I can try and be as well. Can probably roll for another half hour at most, 15, 20 minutes at the smaller duration. And then 3 became 0, but I don't know if that's accurate. Now we got one here. Is it Curseed or who is it? Who do we got? Where are you watching from? If it's Curseed, well, I shouldn't assume just by your name. It's definitely a foreign name, but it doesn't say where you live, but in the world. I would add to that question. I don't want to forget this thought, whether it's a great one or not. I don't know. At the moment, it doesn't show any. Oh, okay. I would add to that traveling when and if you're able. I mean, at some point, you're always going to be able, and at lots of points, you won't be in life. I was more able when I was younger. I still didn't do a lot of it, but I barely get an hour out of the city anymore. But I don't drive either, so I mean, um, I almost did recently get an opportunity to, and who knows when, but hopefully before winter. But because yes, we can experience it online. Yes, we can hear other people talk about it, but there are so many amazing places in the world. There are also some that are kind of dangerous, to be honest. But there are so many amazing places, and you won't truly get to experience them unless you're there. I have recently started following someone on here on YouTube who considers himself to be a bit of a gypsy, aka world traveler. I don't even know if he has a home. I wouldn't say he gives, not to say, what does this mean? But I wouldn't say he gives homelessness vibes. But he pretty much travels around and stays in hotels. And he's a filmmaker, travel filmmaker. Sounds like he's got clients, but he also does it for fun. I should check out more of his content, actually. I wouldn't imagine that, from what it sounds like, what he does makes enough money for him to be able to do that. But I don't know, maybe he had some relatives pass away and got a good inheritance. Who knows? I mean, to talk on that for a moment, I'm originally from Ontario, Canada. And when my grandpa passed away, I don't know if it was something he had expressed, use it to do some traveling or what, or if it was just free. But we did. We used it to go to my hometown. Um, can't remember for how long, maybe almost 2 weeks. And, there's nothing other than that it's my hometown. There's nothing hugely special about the place. We saw a few people I'd grown up with, not as many as I would have liked. And unfortunately, some of them I don't really talk with that often otherwise. Some of them are older, so they're not really, up with technology that much. Um, but I'd love to say that I got to see my friend Pete for the last time when he was passing away in the hospital, but we saw his wife. It sounded like he was kind of in a coma. Not that they, some people will say people can hear you when they're in a coma too. We just didn't find, he was a very lively fella. And obviously when you're in a coma, you're not very lively, or not seeming to be, So um, we didn't get to see any horses. I grew up around horses. People move, they move to different homes or whatever. Trying to think of who we did see. And then, yeah, feel free to weigh in anything else. I'm just thinking back to that because that was right before the pandemic started. And yeah, it was nice to share with the other person in the home who had never been there before, the place. It was a bunch of small towns kind of next to each other. I don't think we were in Windsor very much. We almost went to the fireworks, but we knew it was going to be chaotic and loud, and we didn't. I don't even think we planned to watch it on TV, but maybe we couldn't find it. Actually, where we were, I feel like we were staying in a hotel that was really close to where they were. They were very interesting how they did it. Actually, Detroit River, big barge boats, huge, like almost like the Titanic or a cruise boat, and they did them on those. And I feel like our window, yes. So why didn't I remember seeing them? Must have been further down from us or something. I don't even remember the noise. We stayed in a little quaint motel that was fairly nice. In the one town, that was nice. Just a change of environment. That was really, yeah. The bugs weren't bad that year, which was also good. Trying to think of, it was a Fran, Pat. We ran into my preschool teacher. I think it was preschool. When we went in, as soon as we arrived in the run town in a store, I think she was leaving and she turned back around and said, and I was kind of surprised that she recognized me because we haven't been in touch. And obviously it's been a while since I've been in preschool. And this was 2019. Or maybe I recognized her. Maybe that's what it was. Anyway, anything you're trying to figure out in life, you want some support about, feel free. I put some topics there. We just lost our viewers as I was reminiscing. I know it's nothing that's necessarily hugely important to someone else, but at the same time, it's a reminder of the things that give life meaning, And I listed some topics. I did kind of address them. If you have a specific question about any of them, feel free to put. I know we saw more than the two people in the one we didn't. Oh, right. We saw Marie quite a bit. And we weren't there super long. We went to some things just with, like, I was there with my mother and my step and my spouse. So we went to some things just us. But I'm sure we saw some other people. There was somebody else that was traveling as well at the time, so we weren't able to connect with them. and I had a bit of a weird experience kind of connected to them since. Um, the other one was way more religious than I thought. That was the one that husband was in the coma, actually. And I didn't know it until I came across her online and was browsing a bit the one day. She wasn't super obvious about it. And I'm not saying that religious is bad. I'm just saying that, some people they they come across too preachy. They lean on it maybe I might say a little too much at times. I don't know. I know I did a video recently where I was going by I kind of live sort of near a church. And I noticed that the pastor's car was there, I recognized the license plate, and he had his door hanging open, and he wasn't around it. And I was questioning, should I go and close it or say something? And then I thought, it's only his own stupidity for leaving it open for like 15 minutes. I was kind of in the area trying to figure out what to do. 15 minutes or so before I closed it. I thought, is he relying on God to watch over his car? Because I've seen him bless cars before too. And I think like that's an example of maybe going a little bit too far when you know the things that some people will do, you know, too far with religion. Um, who the heck else did we see? I know we saw other people. Anyway, I've listed some topics. If you have something else that you'd like some support on in life, I'm trying to think. I know we saw more than the two, kind of three. I know we did. I know we did. Hmm. Or did we? I don't remember. Anyway, if you'd like me to get specific on any of those topics, feel free to kind of bring in a question relating to them or anything else you're needing support about in life. Happy to be here for you. I think, and I was genuine there too, but I think when I said it earlier and just showed my genuine care, I found somebody open up a little bit. So it's good to be brave. No need to be ashamed. We came back. Somebody else is here. Sorry, I've been rolling for a while now because it's a rainy, slow day here. We have two people here. Don't know if you've previously been here. I don't want to be repeating myself. I don't have the energy to do it. And if you've heard it, you don't need to hear it again. If you haven't, let me know. And I'll catch you up to speed on things here. I might also get a gist by the comments that I've put. Yeah, I've had three people here. And then had some likes as well. But there's a lot on YouTube. Some people will go by the numbers and let that help them decide. I don't think they should. And life stuff. I do like how I thought of some categories and then used my life and things that I've learned in my life. And I'm curious. I'm curious actually. Donald John McPhee, hello. How are you? Welcome. First time on the channel? Where are you watching from? And feel free to like and subscribe. Um, I'm gonna. We have three people here now. To anybody that wishes to, I'm gonna say, what are your thoughts about family? Now it's one. I'm thinking Donald, but sometimes people say, hey, that's the other side. Don't ask me why. Maybe the devices die or whatever. Device dies. What are your thoughts about family? If you'd rather, what are your thoughts about purpose? If you'd rather, what are your thoughts about getting to know yourself or getting to know others? I'll hush up and let you type. Now it says three again, and I'm not sure if the other two were the ones that were just here or here at some point or not. But four, what are your thoughts on that list of those list of topics? Or if you have a song request, I'd be happy to wrap this up with a song too. I'd like to, whether you call it a challenge or not, I don't want that word to be misinterpreted. For the three of you that are here, I would like whether it's out of your comfort zone or not, I would like to encourage you to weigh in with a song request or something on any of those four things. You're all here for a reason. Now it's two. Oh my God, my lap. Now it's one. Donald, are you still there? Can I call you John? Simply because I don't want to get hugely into politics, but I can look at the latter half of your name. I can't but think of Donald Trump when I see your name. I also do know a couple other Dons. One's a relative that passed away a while ago, and the other one's a friend's father. Seems like he left. He's like, no, if you don't like my name, if you don't like my name, I'll leave. I like Trump. Just kidding. Or maybe he's back. Who do we got? Who do we got? What do you feel you need support on in life? What have you learned? How old are you? And what have you learned? What's the biggest life lesson you've had in you've experienced in your life? I think I've kind of addressed, I've addressed a lot of things in here, which probably covers what I would say about it as far as my answer. If I was to think, and again, I pose similar questions like this every now and then, but I'm not too sure if I've ever thought. I mean, and every now and then I'm talking about something I'm stressed about and always open to people weighing in about it. But I don't know if I've ever thought, what is something that I'd really like to know about life and get viewers' opinions about it? I mean, of course, people are going to say their opinions if they choose to, but what is something that I've wondered about life? Well, I think it would be a great, and the person left, whatever, but a great service to me and perhaps others to hear that are struggling with similar or whatever, or know someone that is, and that would probably be most people. I think it would be a great service to me, and I've kind of mentioned it, in this video and in general. A service to me is maybe not the phrase I'm meaning, but I think it would be a good thing to be very open and honest about my life and ask people's input. Like that post that I saw that gave me the inspiration to do this. I've maybe talked a little bit about some of the stuff, and you're welcome to do the same. But just give me a moment here. What would you suggest to somebody who has some slight physical disabilities, is on the autism spectrum, has some OCD, anxiety sometimes, doesn't drive, um, but is creative? Person left, whatever. Maybe that was unintentional, though. Clearly loves to help people. Um, is talented, musically, but doesn't like bars and doesn't drive. Um, Although, of course, that is looking to network more, who misses his 20s and is getting close to his 40s, or there, whichever, um, who has felt that life has been mostly stagnant and stuck, and it's like certain environments are difficult to be in, and you're don't necessarily not always seen as qualified for certain jobs, even if you do good at them, such and such. What would you suggest to such a person that is dealing with those things? Your turn. We have someone here who doesn't mind the silence and might just well be working on a suggestion, but they left. But maybe that wasn't intentional. I will say though, if try and make it a tangible thing. I will say some things that don't work for this person who I'm speaking about, which may or may not be me, is going to the gym. Um, is if someone was to say, "Oh well, don't play victim," you know, sometimes people are victim to some difficult circumstances in their life. They truly are. They truly are. They maybe see their part in it where they can take some blame. And some people try to victimize people, unfortunately, too. But we're looking for tangible. We're looking for thanks for the like. I'm curious what I said specifically. And if you've ever seen this channel before, either way, welcome. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Um, Reminds me about talks about Guinness records as well. But anyway, yeah, I don't want to be, talking what people are trying to type in case they can't multitask, but this is YouTube. I think most people on here probably can. But I'm going to slow down for a moment and let you say your suggestions, your thoughts on anything you're seeing in the comments, especially the ones I put, because one of the people that commented isn't here at the moment. I know that. Unless she came back. Or he. Looking at the picture, looks like a female, but how can I know for sure? It's small, and people identify as, you know, not always as what they appear, if that makes sense. So, what is your input? You can even send a little bit at a time. If you're working on a comment, maybe send through what you got so far, because I'm eager to see it. I, or this person that I'm talking about, need answers, man. And if you're a woman, don't put too much strength on the word man. You're like, wait, if I'm a woman, you don't want to hear what I have to say? Adios. No, that's not what I was going to say. But you did leave, so I hope that's not what you thought I was going to say. I wondered, because somebody stayed for the full question, and it looked like one or two stayed after it, too, for a little bit. I wonder if they're going away to think about it and come back. In which case, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the times when I do the live streams, the chat occurs during the live stream and not a whole lot comes afterwards. Part of it could be because some of them get long. It's true. However, no one's saying you have to watch all of it or all of it at once. Any of them, you know. Um, and if people, yeah, are just seeing the video tab, then those are older videos like that. They're not the same as the live streams, even though they're videos. Um, so but yeah, the chats often seem to occur in the chat. However, and he knows what I was doing. However, there's a part of me that thinks if that's what someone's done, then maybe I want to wrap up soon and then let a comment come in afterwards. That's not necessarily a live chat, but there's somebody here now, and I don't know if you just tuned in or if you left and came back, but welcome. Not sure if you've ever seen the channel before. Curious? We got two of you here now. Welcome to both of you. And if you'd rather just make a song suggestion, I've been rolling for a while now, but I could round this off with a song if you'd like to suggest one. Well, maybe more than one in case I don't know or don't feel the one you mentioned. But I really that part where I said, "What would you say to someone that blah 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 blah?" I'm very curious. I really am. So, two of you have been here for a few minutes, I think, or maybe one of you was here a bit longer, and some of you may have been here earlier. I have to run upstairs very briefly, but I'll let you think on some of the things that you've heard me say, what you might want to contribute as far as your own thoughts, including perhaps song suggestions, and I'll be right back. I'm not ready to wrap this up right now because it seems like every few seconds somebody's tuning in, and we've got some good chats going on here, and I'm not rushing anything. It's a rainy day, and I'm not got much going on, so I am gotta go upstairs for a moment, but I'll be back. And I look forward to reading your comments on anything you've heard or read in the comments. But you left, but you'll probably come back in a few seconds. If you're the flasher that's been there, you'll probably enjoy taking your clothes on, put them on, put them on, put them on. If you're a flasher, get it. If you don't know what I meant by that, look up the word. You'll see. Look up the word. What is the word of the day? I'll be right back, folks. Feel free to weigh in the conversation. I'm starving. We're low on groceries. I just finished up a few things that I've been kind of eating the past few days, and I don't really know what I'm going to eat today. I'm not looking forward to having it, especially since it's probably going to be. So, could I put a pizza in? Maybe I will. Maybe I will. He's going to get mad when he sees that I've made it and he hasn't got it. Well, we just ate a bunch. How mad can he be? How mad can he be? Yeah. I'll be right back on the screen in a moment. Oh, oh. Yeah, I want to put anything interesting on the pizza or have an interesting dip. That's the thing I don't know. Okay, well, we got one, and actually, as I sat down and looked at the screen, one became two. So, welcome. I haven't been away from the screen very long, and I've been rolling for quite a while with this one. Um, I should check something quickly. I just want to see, and I'm sorry if it distorts the sound, but you left, so maybe I'm not because you're not even here. But there, this one's been, and you'd think this should be common on YouTube, but again, there's a lot on YouTube. There's a lot on YouTube. You know, a lot. I don't know how they're the detectives or anything find anything. Um, I just want to check something for a moment here. We got two of you here. Feel free to weigh into the conversation. I just want to check and see. And I was watching a bunch of karaoke videos the other day, but I sang a lot of those songs. I just want to check and see if I'm probably not going to roll more than another 30, 40 minutes. I'm thinking maybe less. But there was someone I saw that I feel did a record long video the other day, and then it later didn't load. However, because we're actually getting pretty close to the longest one I've ever done, and I've done some long ones. I wonder if that person was requesting that song, that band, Jax and not Sax. I Um, Anywho, and I just wanted to see if any of their videos over 3 hours, even though they show, actually play because we're getting close to that mark. So, and then I'll come back to this tab. Um, Even the 1/7. Let's just see. Does this one about 7? Yep. Okay. So I can go for another 4 hours then. No, just kidding. I don't know how someone would do it. I mean, yeah, there was two of them there, but I don't know how someone has that kind of energy. Some would say, or time. How about how they have that much time? But but and honestly, like seriously, like whether it's the record setter or the one I saw the other day, which I thought was a record setter, like you know, yeah, I really wonder if she was joking about the one thing. Like, I mean, and focus. Like how does someone have enough focus to do a video that long? You're like someone turns in and they're like, "You're talking about yourself? Like this is 3 hours long." No, I'm talking about one longer than this actually. Um, Time flies sometimes. I just put that in, so it's going to be a while. I don't remember if I set the oven as hot as I usually do. I didn't at first, and then I think I moved it a little bit more. So feel free to weigh in on the conversation, request a song. I just need to slow down for a few minutes here, or at least a couple minutes, and try to resist the temptation to click into this group that I am a member of because I don't know how to put it into words, but I feel a little bit mixed about being in it. Although I should say it's a form of appreciating beauty. Really, what's wrong with that? You know, funny as a person tuned in. That would be, I mean, I did have a very interesting coincidence the other day connected to YouTube and that person whose video I was just talking about. Basically, I was in a group, I'm in a group, and I had the group open, and one of the recent posters shared the somewhat unique last name of one of my commenters and whose video I'd watched. Still a little bit disappointed, I know round when I tuned in. The conversation was enjoyable. I was going to watch it back with dinner, and yeah. Anywho, so we got two people here. Feel free to weigh in on any of the points mentioned above there. Um, I really don't know why someone. Well, yeah. Feel free to do that or suggest a song. Now that none of them are here, I really don't know why someone come in and say hey and then leave. Within the time that they said hey, other than that I said Donald makes me think of Donald Trump. Maybe I should have said Donald Duck. Or then he might be like, I don't like ducks. I don't know. But we're not here to talk about Trump, though. So unless you hate him, no, just kidding. No. But join the club on that one, right? I'm not a hugely political person, and I'm in Canada, though. So I mean, we hear lots about him. His tariffs have made their way over here. Who knows what else? But yeah, I'm just multitasking, taking a bit of a breather, waiting to see people, join the chat. You're welcome to be here as you've arrived here. And now there's, which could be taking a couple of words, both positive. Now there's three of you. So, yes, feel free to weigh in or suggest a song. And I'll check back in the comments in just a moment here. I somewhat have good peripherals, but I'm scrolling on this page, so I'm really bad at thinking up songs. If you can't think up songs, maybe think up artists and bands that you know. Hmm. In the meantime, what I could do is something kind of cool because we got three of you here, and maybe you're not really sure how you want to contribute. So I will say that there is a phenomena, it seems like, of people doing button crafts, including Christmas, and it feels a little early. It even feels early for Halloween, to be honest to me. But yeah. Um, Anywho, and I could share some of what, and there's a Christmas and a Halloween one. Some of what is in here. I guess that's buttons, yeah. Um, Looking for an especially impressive one. I mean, it's a common name. It's a common name, but the what I think looks like um, cake sprinkles and the bunch of green buttons all in one spot and the color of green. I think this is kind of interesting. Let the screen adjust to it. Yes, it's a common name. That's the only reason I'm showing it with the name there. So I saw this one the other day, I think. Let me see here. Uh, this one's kind of interesting. I didn't. I may not have been scrolled down enough to not show the name with that one, but I resonate with it. So I might have to send this person. Um. Yeah. Song requests, questions about life, something you need support on. Happy to help. Feel free to put it below. Whether you make a donation or not, I'm happy to help. Also, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Had a couple people here for a little while, probably thinking about either how to contribute or just looking for waiting to see the next button art. I saw this one the other day. It's kind of interesting, and that's a very okay, yeah, kind of a unique first name. I only know it from a TV show, but if the screen adjusts, I don't feel like that's showing it very well. There's like stems behind each row, and I don't feel like that's coming across on the screen. But anyway, people like roosters, or the other word for them. Somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, I did that." This one, it's words, and I can make out the first two. Hallelujah, maybe is the third one. Hallelujah! I figured it out. This one's kind of interesting. It's be a great time for them crafters to show up. Oh wow. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This is a, I guess you would call it, I think this would be the word for it, bodice, or like a figure. I thought it was a garment at first, made entirely out of buttons. Now the sizing of the image means I'm going to have to scroll it, so I will do my best. Just let the screen adjust to it and let me catch my balance. That's wild. This looks like it's showing some of the kind of intricacies in it. All buttons. There's something about this that I like. The black and silvers, whatever the green is made out of, which isn't buttons. I don't know what it's made out of. Again, it's kind of a common name. Anybody with a name that starts with R who likes sunflowers? The frame is kind of interesting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not meaning to be mean, but this is well done. Here's one for Donald. I know it's not Donald Duck, but it is a duck. This one's kind of interesting. It's buttons. I was going to say in a jar of with more buttons in it, but what it looks more like is a sort of pepper shaker, and it's got like wood burned wood of a map underneath it. That one comes through really nice and clear, actually. The other day, because I only have Messenger on my one device, I was taking a picture of myself, a picture on my phone, which seemed a lot more kind of blurry and not very bright on the phone, but the tablet took it a lot better. Okay, this is not a button, but he's cute as a button. Needs some help with color buttons to use for sweet pepper. Tried orange, but it doesn't seem to match well enough. Well, then wouldn't brown make sense? I mean, isn't there kind of only two possibilities? Burnt umber. Oh, okay. I'm sure there's lots of burnt umber buttons out there. I think they mean ember, maybe? Painting them. That's, I guess, a good suggestion. Probably the best you're going to get. But then you're like, what color paint then? But you can adjust it to get the correct color. True. Some of these people, like they're obviously, we actually have a collection of buttons, and I've thought about doing some, but I don't look at the group very often, and I have to get inspired. But some of these people are so good, you could probably hire them to do this. I wouldn't mention their name on here, but you could follow up. I could ask them. I said I showed your button art anonymously. If somebody was interested, can I let them know how to reach you? And then I'd probably, well, yeah. Um, some of them more elaborate than others, but I mean, even the ones that aren't super elaborate are kind of nice. Not the gumdrop buttons. It's amazing the variety of buttons there are out there. I tell you, like look at the texture on that purple flower. Unless she painted that, that's no, she couldn't have because it's the shape. Or maybe it is the shape and she painted it. But I mean, and look at this one. This one is really quite amazing. The one underneath the orange one. That's the nicest button I've ever seen of all the buttons that I've seen. And I've seen a lot of buttons in my 39 years, I tell you that much. Ew. I know some people that would probably like this jewelry. I wouldn't necessarily call it buttons, but they're like, oh, it's earrings. I don't like earrings. I don't have pierced ears. I better leave. That's what the one person did. Can you believe that? But either came back because they're like, but I am thinking about piercing them. Just kidding. Or my name is Pierce, or rhymes with it. Just kidding. um, this one speaks to me as a horse person. Nice frame too. So it's kind of interesting. It's on like a color background, and it's just very minimal on the buttons, but they're there. This is kind of interesting too. So much nice stuff. That one's almost a little too busy, but it did look different on the screen than it looked on this screen with that one. Um, Anybody love pink and have a name that starts with M? Anyone ever wanted to see the Holy Cross done in a button? I'm looking at pictures of button art because I we seem to trail from the original topics and we can go back to them. You can also song request, but at the moment I'm looking at button art, and it's really quite impressive. Some of these, and I'm flying a lotion. I'm not going ooh button art, my favorite thing. Although I don't hate it, obviously. This is supposed to be a dash hound. I guess I see it. The picture of the actual dog is quite cute. I don't know if I've ever seen a dash hound with ears quite like that before. I've not seen a lot of dash hounds either, but I've seen a few. I've seen the odd dash hound here and there. Wiener dog, as they like to say. Feel sorry for them. They're so close to the ground, like sometimes their bellies, especially if they're overweight. This is kind of cool. I can change the topic at any time if you guys aren't into. Oh, I get it. Friends like you, comma. If you vote to. I don't know if I'm seeing buttons in that, but it's kind of interesting. Man, I thought these buttons would be a lot more popular than they've proven to be. Here's some button art on some religious plaques or whatever, which may not speak to some people, but if we have a religious person watching, I might have some questions and some thoughts based on them. Yes, but I understand gray is a boring color. What about grays and yellow? Like, who thinks of the moon and thinks green? It's more green than it looks on the screen. So, oh, I should check on the pizza. And once it's ready, I'm going to stop. Then again, would I think that it's orange either? I know there's that song about the man in the moon and cheese. I'm just going to go check on my pizza. Oh, baby. Okay. I would say that looks like it could be quite big to bike home with. I would say that the pizza that I just took out of the oven, which I'm going to let cool for a few minutes here, um, got a little well done, but not that terrible. So next question is, when you make pizzas at home and they get ever so slightly burnt, I'm hoping you don't race them if they're only slightly burnt, because some people don't even have food and you bought it, and yeah, just why? Why would you? But when somebody tunes in, I have a question for them. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah, but that 18 video only had 20 likes. I mean, how does that make sense? I mean, yeah, sure, almost 2 hours, almost, but not quite 2 hours with them talking to me. But I thought that was interesting too. I appreciated it. So, question for people who make pizzas at home and every now and then make them get them ever so slightly burnt but still edible. What kinds of dips or sauces would you put on them? I have an interesting one right now. I'm a little bit bored of it at this point. It's one of the trick where I got it from, but I have an interesting one right now that I've never heard of this before. It's a dill hummus. The skull. So, um, we could keep looking at interesting button art. We could talk about the dips that we like to have on pizza, especially when it's frozen made, and so therefore, sometimes not the sauciest, especially when you almost overcook it because I just took a pizza out of the oven. Or we can talk about any of the key points there and what would be your advice or your thoughts on them based on um, the life you've lived. You know, I guess being a YouTube content creator is one of the things I'm strongly meant to be, because a lot of other things just have lately seemed to have been hard to achieve. And I think there was one or two people here when I said, "What would you tell a person that was going through this, and this?" There wasn't a lot of you here, but there was one or two, and nobody said anything. So that makes me think that that person isn't meant to focus on those struggles. They're just meant to continue to be, distracted by nice button art and making YouTube videos and eating lots of carbs. and just get managing to get through the days. You know, I used to know, but I'm not sure now what was made for. Oh, I don't know how to feel. I have an interesting idea to wrap this up with a bit more singing before I leave. I have a very interesting idea. I'm going to look at these, and if a song comes to mind when I look at it, I'm just going to sing it. And it's so ironic that as I say that, there is a happy birthday themed one that I see here. So, does it happen to be the birthday of the person that tuned in or close to? Musical year and almost 40. Love just typing this and the coincidence. I'm going to check on the artist. Somebody tuned in as I said that. Did you catch it? That's what I'm curious about. So, yes, I'm going to be soon to enjoy. I wish it was something a bit more healthy and more variety, but I'm going to be soon to enjoy a pizza I just took out of the oven. Got a little bit well done, not to the point where I want to toss it out, but to the point where I want to figure out what to have with it. I don't know whether I like that or not. It looked tackier on the screen than it actually was. Somebody's calling buttons beads, although they do look more like buttons. But buttons are buttons, beads are beads. And with a collection like that, you'd think you'd know that. Okay, so let's see here. Which of these inspires a song? Um, I've sang a couple songs about horses recently. At the moment, I'm drawing a blank, but this is kind of interesting. Actually, this might get me on my feet. So I might have to do that idea next time because that reminded me of a little bit of something that I have that I would like to send a picture of to her if it will let me. So, this has been quite the podcast. I, there was a lot of good nuggets in it, I do feel like, and so did four other people and some of the commenters, which may or may not have liked. So feel free to, once it's posted in a few moments, it will have processed when I wrap it up, to come back and watch as much as you can. If you want to watch all of it, you can do that all at once or a little at a time. If you have a song request for me to wrap this up with, great. Otherwise, I'm going to go and have a pizza that I just took out of the oven. However, I did almost overcook it. So I'm looking for ideas for dips or sauces, not hot sauce. In the meantime, I'm going to do this other thing that I was going to do because the person left and they could tell. Oh, but then two people came in at the same time. And I hate to do it when there's people, I hate to stop when there's people here. But yeah, I'll just say, once this is posted, a couple minutes after I wrap up, 2 or 3 minutes after I wrap up, it's three people here now. You can see the content as much as you're able to is fine. I would say start at least 7 or 8 minutes in. Took me a bit of time to get going. But then obviously I very much did because here we are, 3 hours and 3.5 hours later. It's a rainy day outside. I had the time. I've had some company, and I'd be happy to chat with you as well. If you have a song request, feel free to put it. I might not do the full thing, but I could try. And otherwise, I'm sorry that you're catching me at the end of this and you left. So wrapping her up. And but then somebody, it's happening very rapidly too. Either that, or it's the same person. Two people now. Welcome. So if you've never seen the channel before, I'll just really quickly say it's about doing music. Uplift. Person left. Not a music appreciate. Not a music lover, are you? As long as you're loving at a heater in general, I might forgive you. But how can you not like music at least a little bit? Come on now. Wellness, uplifted, being uplifted, different types of healing, music, psychology, what to put on an almost burnt pizza. That's what this channel's about. And I say that last one because of what I want to figure out once I finish doing this. So, yeah, that's what this channel's about. And hopefully you enjoy it. And like, comment, subscribe. Bye. I'm leaving before somebody else comes in because I feel bad in case they might stay.